to find a lasting solution to the crisis. Here is the National Assembly Minority Leader Pio Andai speaking on the floor of the National Assembly yesterday.
There are no signs at all of this strike abating. So these statements we are receiving here are not adding to anything. So something needs to be done. And that's something I heard the president say, that the government is broke, is unable to pay, and therefore is unable to pay and therefore won't pay. Honorable Speaker, he also advised that Kenyans, including doctors, must now start to live within their means.
Kenyatta University Teaching, Referral and Research Hospital is to enlist the services of foreign doctors to help avert a looming medical disaster at the facility. The facility's board chairperson Olive Mugenda says the strike has stranded scores of patients, particularly cancer patients who are to begin chemotherapy. So far, the facility has enlisted the services of 4 oncologists from Ethiopia, Malawi and Tanzania. Mugenda says the facility has so far conducted 40 chemotherapy sessions thanks to the new hires. Police in Lamu County are hunting down suspected Al-Shabaab militants who killed 2 people and set 2 vehicles on fire in Milihoi. Eyewitnesses say the militants waylaid a vehicle transporting liquor from Mombasa to Lamu, forcing the driver and his colleague out before killing them. Police arrived at the scene and a fierce gun battle ensued for about an hour before the militants fled into the adjacent forest. Silica Booster Limited CEO Josiah Kariuki has denied claims that his company has been distributing fake fertilizer and instead blamed the Kenya Bureau of Standards (KEBS). Appearing before the National Assembly Committee on Agriculture yesterday, Kariuki was hard-pressed to explain how the fertilizer was certified to distribute through the National Cereals and Produce Board mutated from organic fertilizer to diatomite. KEBS issued the company a standardization mark to sell and distribute organic fertilizer in January last year. However, surveillance done across the NCPB stores showed the company was distributing a soil conditioner largely derived from silica, an oxide varying from colorless to white. Kariuki, however, defended the product as legitimate.
You are selling this product, so tell us, how did you influence NCPB to accept your product? That's what we want to hear now.
I think, as I said, I was working with diatomite, and they allowed me. And as you can see on the bags, it said it was manufactured by diatomite. And how I got it, I told them I was working with diatomite, and they allowed me to use.
Maybe, Chair, just to Kariuki, you know, sometimes it's good to say the truth, and the truth will always set you free.
The Affordable Housing Act now faces a new hurdle after 22 senators led by Busia's Okiya Omtatah took the matter to court, seeking to quash it in its entirety. The senators and 7 other human rights defenders say the Kenya Revenue Authority Commissioner cannot be the collector of the levy as proposed. They also want the National Assembly to be stopped from implementing Section 60 of the Act, saying it attempts to address issues previously declared unconstitutional by the High Court. They further want the matter referred to Chief Justice Martha Koome because it raises substantial questions of law. Djibouti has joined the race for the African Union Commission chairperson, becoming the 3rd East African nation alongside Kenya and Somalia to front a candidate for the post. The country has chosen its Foreign Affairs Minister Mahmoud Ali as its candidate for the post, saying he has extensive experience in diplomacy, which they believe makes him well suited for the role. And finally, Nigeria has recovered 30 billion naira as part of an ongoing corruption probe into a suspended humanitarian affairs and poverty alleviation minister. The minister was suspended in January for allegedly diverting the money into 50 personal bank accounts. That's the Newswire. I'm Edwin Lisamira. Good morning.
.5 SpiceFM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
This is one of the hottest show that we can ever miss in the morning, and it's a show that really gives the real situation in the situation room.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you guys so much. Nduthai, nice meeting you. Even beautiful in person more than in photos.
Say that again. Character is like pregnancy. You cannot hide it. You know, people hiding here and there, you know, but after 2, 3 months, 5 months, now you will see. Oh. So that is why the attitude that you were showing us, you're pregnant.
It's like what my grandmother would say. You cannot pickpocket a naked man.
How's that? It's communal, isn't it?
No comment.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
If you go out of this country and come back the same person, then you have a problem. Buy land, 1 million. Put it there for 5 years. What's the purpose?
It'll have increased in value.
No, that's the thing. That's darkness. You know, that's an eclipse. You don't do that.
I hope you don't believe that a hustler is a poor person, or that all hustlers are poor. I've seen that conversation.
Tell us, who is a hustler?
Who's a hustler? Hustler is a person who is making a living through hard work.
Corruption in Kenya is a political accusation. The people who are actually corrupt are not pointed fingers at.
Kenya is not free. Kenya imeshikwa na mateka. It's under siege.
Have you seen that lodge on Nyeri Road? Very high fence. You can't even
windows
sleep inside.
Up near the ceiling.
Yes. And if you walk there at midnight, you see bats the size of cows.
And when it rains, it doesn't rain on that building.
Yes.
When you're at All Saints and it's raining, it doesn't rain on that building.
The things people will believe.
Well.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you very much, Eric, and it's good to be at the Situation Room.
Always a pleasure coming here. This is the most challenging interview panel in Kenya. You guys are very well informed, and as you can see, Charles today very philosophical.
To be poor in this country is the greatest sin you can commit, not just from a legal perspective, but from life generally. Yeah. It is very, very skewed.
We've just heard on the floor of Parliament, just most recently, a leader within the ODM saying that sisi ni ng'ombe is a baba.
Yeah.
Which means that you are willing to be milked dry.
Hapo.
You cannot force me to believe. I'll give way. If it's a land that I'm told to return to you, I will. Okay? Because the court has said so. But I'll continue saying, watu wamenirusha. That's all that I'm doing.
We're not going to see much of that today. Roads empty, it's a holiday, so most of your processes will not be continuing today. But we're going to take a look at what's happening anyway on the streets this morning. So clear and free for most parts of the city on this Wednesday morning. Yeah, there it is, Uhuru Highway all the way through into the city. In and outbound is not a traffic situation. Coming off the Thika Superhighway as well, free and clear. We're not going to see much of that either today. We're going to keep an eye on things through the morning either way and just see what will be happening if it does. And we'll let you know as you let us know as well. SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Hapana. I think niliwacha huko nje.
Edna, ati mtu anasema amewacha simu huko nje. Ati huko nje ni wapi? Kwa canteen.
Hapo kwa meza.
Kwa ile canteen yetu.
Yeah.
Otherwise, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Eid Mubarak.
Oh yeah, Eid Mubarak. Yeah.
Unasikiaje hiyo Eid?
It's like the Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is Christmasing.
Yes.
Very good. Very, very good.
How are you this fine morning?
Fine morning yangu iko poa. Nashukuru Mungu sana.
Okay.
Manake mimi niko hapa.
Simu iko hapa.
Umepata?
Hapa tu. Ikiniangalia. Don't worry.
Sheesh.
Sorry.
Huh?
Sorry. What is Edna saying? I've made Edna stand up this morning. Can you imagine?
Usiamshe hasira za mkisi. Hasira za mkisi. Furaha ya kunguni. How are you? And, well, everybody, good morning. Eid Mubarak to all of you. We're here. We are live streaming the show already. Yes, we have people who we've seen the videos now of that eclipse.
Finally.
Yeah. Everybody now is just posting, oh my God, I saw darkness.
I looked and it was dark.
And imagine it was pitch dark. Where? Okay. Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation this 10th day of April 2024. This day being Eid-ul-Fitr in this country. Tuko hapa sisi tutafanya mazungumzo kama kawaida. What shall we be discussing today? At 7 a.m. we'll be joined by governance expert Peter Mushendu. What should be done to bring stability into this country? There are many things that seem to be going yombo.
What?
Yeah.
Is that a thing or did you just make it up?
I think there's something like that.
Yombo.
If there isn't, we put it there.
Okay, sure.
Okay. See, it sounds good. Sounds like the things that are going on.
Yombo.
Yeah, yombo, like, hobla. So, Peter joins us at 7 a.m. for that conversation. And then at 8 o'clock, there's a member of parliament who has said, wait a minute, there's too much going on TikTok in Kenya. Younger people are doing things on TikTok. Can we ban this thing from this country?
Where?
Can we? So, in fact, Parliament has summoned TikTok bosses to come and talk to them and tell them, what are you doing? What are you doing? Fortune Mugwili Sibanda is the head of public policy and government relations for TikTok in sub-Saharan Africa. He's in the country to come and respond to issues that are being raised by members of parliament, by everybody else, and he'll be here at 8 a.m. so we can raise those issues with him, addressing concerns over TikTok moderation in Kenya and in Africa, well, globally, let's just say globally.
Yeah.
How are you moderating content on TikTok, especially when people go live, when people are posting, what people are consuming, what people are doing on TikTok? And then, of course, we have to ask them, so these Kenyans who are actively creating content and posting on TikTok, are they earning money?
Yeah.
How much are you paying them?
And is it comparable to what you're paying people on the other end of the pond? Yeah.
Are we equal? 9 o'clock, doctors' strike continues. Clinical officers' strike continues. Peterson Washira is the chairman of the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers. He will be joining us at 9 to talk to us about what's going on. So we know the doctors have issues. Nurses, we had Secretary General Seth Panyako yesterday, and he said, no, we are having conversations with the government. The clinical officers are also having conversations with the government. They are also in the middle of negotiations for a CBA. They haven't gone into it, but they have joined the doctor strike in solidarity. Peterson will be here at 9 to tell us, why are you striking? Who invited you to strike?
What's your problem?
What's your issue? Okay. Okay. 6:15. Are you online? Where are you tuned in from this morning? Let's hear. It could be night for you, it could be afternoon for you. Let's find out. Okay. After Ndu gives us the weather forecast, we'll be shouting you out.
This is the Situation Room. The only way to
Cloudy
start
conditions
your day.
in Nairobi this morning with a chance of a drizzle. It's 16 degrees and we'll see highs of 27. Looking into a clear Nakuru at 15, highs of 25, and at 14, it's a foggy morning in Nyeri with highs of 27. We'll see lows of 14. Eldoret is partly cloudy at 14 with highs of 24, and we're looking into a partly cloudy Mombasa at 27, going to highs of 33. Malindi will see highs of 33. It's partly cloudy at 28. Looking into a clear Kisumu at 19. We'll see highs of 28, and we'll see highs of 28 in a mostly clear Kakamega currently at 16. Out in Kampala, it's mostly cloudy at 20, highs of 28, and Dar es Salaam is mostly clear at 24 with highs of 32. And into Johannesburg, it's 9 degrees and clear, highs of 21 and lows of 8. 27 degrees in Mogadishu this morning, highs of 32, and Addis Ababa is cloudy at 13 with highs of 23. Lagos is clear at 28, highs of 35 today, and Kinshasa will see highs of 33. It's mostly clear currently at 24. It's raining Wednesday afternoon in Beijing at 11 degrees, highs of 13 and lows of 6. It's cloudy at 6 degrees in Paris, going to highs of 16, while London is cloudy at 7. We'll see highs of 14. Tuesday night in New York is 13 and cloudy. Coming into Wednesday, we'll see highs of 25 and lows of 9.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4.
What to what cool. Eid Mubarak from DXB. That's Dubai. Brian Otieno says good morning. Ivan Ntabo says good morning, everybody. Mukopoa, yes, have a wonderful day.
Asante.
And be blessed. Duncan Obat is watching from The Hague, Den Haag, and says good morning to you all. One Mike says good morning, Situation Room from Baltimore and Maryland. I hope you interrogate Chapter 6 as pertains to vetting. You guys are awesome. Well, so are you, man. Robinson Kisero says good morning from Hong Kong. Great to be in the situation. Sasani conditioner and not fertilizer. It's a magical country, I tell you. It really is. Robertson Boko is in Mombasa and he says Eid Mubarak to you too as well. Caroline Yambura. Good morning, everybody. Wishing you a blessed day. Nawapenda sana. Thank you, Carol. Bald head. That's his name. It says top of the morning, folks. Well, top of the morning to you too. And a cup of coffee as strong as you'd like it. Tano Teka says good morning from Rochester in Minnesota. Good morning, Ndu. CT, yes. Edna and Eric, happy Wednesday and happy Eid-ul-Fitr to our Muslim brothers and sisters. Let's pray for our motherland, Kenya, because accidents are too much and disheartening. I'm telling you, it is too much. The accidents on the roads, yet another one yesterday. I mean, for goodness sake. It can be attributed to so much, but the bottom line is it is too much. James Kamau says, good morning, receiving you loud and clear here in Forney, Texas in the USA. Noah Mwenda, says, good morning, gang, tuned in from a quiet Shimanzi in Mombasa. Moses Kamau is tuned in this morning and says, good morning to the great team. Moses Kamau, the architect, is watching from Kentmere in Limuru. Such an interesting name, Kentmere.
Kentmere.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's the Kentmere Club in Tigoni.
Yes. Rawlings Obanda says, good morning, everybody. Utawala is locked. Joseph Kimonge is also tuned in. Jeffrey Mogaka says, good morning, Eric, Ndu Nyaboke, and Kimeli. Okay. Mombasa, Tuapata Vema.
Kabisa.
Okay. Joe Mungai says, good morning, watching and listening from Washington State. Did CT mistake living within his means to mean leaving us, Kwamata? No, that's a good one. He'll be back. Don't worry. He's putting a mend on everything. He'll be back soon. Amayo Okeo says, good morning, happy Eid. Good morning, team, tuned in from Finland. George Okoff is greeting everybody and says, looking forward to today's debate. It was a good interview with Governor Natembeya. Wacha Atembeya Natawe. I'm watching you from Miami.
And Arudi next week.
Yeah, he'll be here next week for a longer period, and it will be interesting to have that conversation with him. Lameko Sebe sounds like a name from South Central Nigeria, but I know it's not. He says, good morning, Eric and Ndu. Eid Mubarak from Boston. Paul Njehia says, Ndu, with an H, which it shouldn't have, but okay. Anaongea Kiswahili mzuri sana. Inaonekana akona resident tutor.
Kabisa.
Shafki says it's Yumba Yumba. That thing you're saying. Yumba Yumba. So it's actually a thing.
Yumba Yumba.
Not Yomba Yomba.
Kuyumba Yumba ni kushake.
Oh, okay. Good morning, Spice team. Ndu Eric CT. Is he back, the wise man from the Lake region? Not yet, but he will be soon. Eric Mwangi is tuned in from Kamulu. And King Dave Lubale is also here. Titus Mwangi says hello and good morning. You miss CT bang in the middle of the paper stories. Yes, I know. Wilfred Odhiambo says, good morning, my country people. Mugwe Wanjiro says, Eid Mubarak to all Muslims and you in the studio, tuned in from Juja. Peter Kura says, good morning, Team Spice. Richard Sobby is here. Quite a number of people in and says, good
Watu ni wengi. Watu ni wengi. Wengi sana. Okay. The proverbs for this week are from the country of the Kingdom of Morocco. And today's proverb, the ones who fear live.
The ones who fear live.
Onaje? Courage, the cowardly dog.
It's a crazy dog. Yeah. The ones who fear and still take it on in the midst of their fear, fight through their fear, are the ones who actually live.
That's one way of looking at it.
I guess so.
Yeah. Haya, tuko na gazeti moja so far.
Ni kama
Mangina yanakuja shortly. Tutaangalia mambo hayo. Tell us the headline.
The headlines in the Standard this morning: Ruto housing levy pain far from over. 22 senators have joined 6 other Kenyans in cases that seeks to declare the levy an illegitimate. Sorry, let me start again. 22 senators have joined 6 other Kenyans in cases that seeks to declare the levy an illegality at a time the president thought he had put the predicaments behind him by penning the bill. These senators are Stuart Matzayo, who is the minority leader in the Senate and also the senator of Kilifi County. Enoch Wambua is the deputy minority leader and the senator of Kitui County. Agnes Mudama is the Machakos County senator. And Okeo Mtata, guess what, is the Busia County senator. Edwin Sifuna is the ODM secretary general and Nairobi senator, while Shakila Abdallah is the Wiper secretary central. Is the Wiper Secretary General and a nominated senator. All of them have said
they're joining the case.
Yes, we can't. So let's see what happens with that. We'll look into the details of that story.
Okay.
Pedestrians bear the brunt of road crashes. Road accidents have killed 1,213 people in the last 3 months. Pedestrians account for the largest number of these fatalities at 445.
What?
Where? 16 seconds to disaster, how planes crashed. That's another one. Quite a number of things are crashing, as well as...
Which planes?
I'll give you that story later.
Yeah.
Resign or we push you out, Azimio tells Nahumicha. Just stop it or you go home. Stop it. Annoying us, or just generally stopping.
Okay.
Popular pastor killed in robbery had a toy pistol. Yeah, it was not true. So there are
several stories.
Yes, quite a number of things.
Okay, it's 23 past, so you can tell us one of those stories.
Let me tell you. Now, ODM, Azimio has been talking to Nahumicha. They've been talking at funerals. They've been talking directly. There's been a censure motion suggested. Now they've said, look, you and your agriculture counterpart must go home. The Azimio La Umoja One Kenya Coalition wants Health Cabinet Secretary Susan Nahumicha to resign for her handling of the ongoing medical workers' strike. At the same time, the coalition has maintained pressure to have Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Mithika Linturi also resign over the fake fertilizer scandal. At a press briefing in Nairobi yesterday, the opposition claimed that 500 people had lost their lives due to the strike, accusing President William Ruto of playing down its gravity. A whole president comes back and says that we cannot pay and won't pay. He goes on to say that we have to live within our means. They have been preaching water and drinking heavy wine. Look at the lavish lifestyle that they have assumed. We have seen exponential growth in expenditure by this government, according to Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka. He noted that the doctors' demands were a drop in the ocean compared to the heavy tax burden the Kenya Kwanza government has heaped on Kenyans. His remarks came 2 days after Ruto urged doctors to accept the government's offer, stating his administration could not afford to honor payment terms as agreed in the 2017 collective bargaining agreement. Now, former Murang'a Governor Mwangi Wairia equated the alleged deaths of 500 people to mass murder. When you have killed over 500 people, and that is just an estimate, going forward, it can be termed genocide. adding that the coalition would be registering those who had died as a result of the strike and that it was contemplating suing the government. He said this is worse than Shakahola. He added, however, the Standard could not independently verify these claims of the 500, okay? These are things that they said.
500 people have died.
Yeah, okay.
This is a former governor.
Yes.
Who is saying this?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
This is somebody who was superintending health in his county for 10 years.
Yes.
And he also oversaw strikes during his term as governor.
Yes.
For 10 years. The last strike that lasted many, many months, he was a governor. Okay, let him continue. Go on.
Kwanza, the folks in Kiambu went on strike.
Muranga
went on strike.
Go on.
Kalonzo said Azimio would join demonstration staged by the health care workers and dismissed a notice by Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki that purported to outlaw the protests. Perhaps the only language they understand is going to the streets, said the former vice president. On the fake fertilizer scandal, the opposition termed it as a product of heavy corruption. For over 3 weeks, the Kenya Kwanza regime denied the presence of fake fertilizer. They said it was fake news. The Kenya Bureau of Standards has already established that the fertilizer, whose distribution to farmers has caused a national uproar, do not meet the basic quality test. They said the contradictions among government officials were enough proof of incompetence and corruption. We have rains, we will have good soil, but we have fake fertilizer and fake seed given by the government itself, said former CS Eugene Wamalwa. So with all of these things taken into consideration, they said you people are big, come and be going home.
Okay. So Azimio, the leadership of the opposition in the country, has called a press conference to say what Babu Owino said last week. Right? So what's their next course of action?
They're going to go to the streets.
To do what?
To riot. Oh, no, not to riot. To, register their dissatisfaction with the status quo and to put their voices and their beings together with those who are, also registering their dissatisfaction.
So they called a press conference to tell us this.
Yeah, to tell you that they're also standing behind all of these folks, and they're saying that it is impossible for them to sit back and allow this kind of thing to continue. That they, as the opposition, must register their voices in solidarity with the people who are on the streets.
Okay.
To say that you, as a government, is failing hugely by allowing these things to happen under your watch.
Okay.
You cannot say that you don't have money to pay the doctors. This is what I'm telling you so that you can understand it. Maybe as I say it now with more gusto, you feel it. I mean,
yeah.
So they're saying that, you guys are spending lavishly, and then you're saying you can't pay doctors. Now we have rain is falling, the soil is well moisturized, then now you want to give us fake fertilizer so that we can get bad food. I mean, what's wrong with you? This is corruption, right? It's a product of corruption, this fertilizer story.
Stinks to the
highest heavens. And then we said we had Shakahola in Kilifi. We have Shakahola here in Nairobi. With you killing people, not even just in Nairobi, around the country. People are dying because doctors are not there.
I hear
and
you.
You're sitting here going to sleep comfortably.
I hear you. Very loud and
you
clear.
You people who are at the helm of these ministries should come and go home.
I hear you loud and clear, Ndu.
I mean,
Azimio are completely clueless, rudderless, idealess, directionless, everything less. Completely. Parliament resumed yesterday.
Yes, they did.
Members of Parliament also, mostly from Azimio, waxing lyrical and frothing at the mouth and saying all these things that their leaders were saying. Okay? The leader of the minority in the National Assembly was saying, in fact, people can even go to the streets to demonstrate. Okay. If you want Nakumecha out, see, there's a way of getting it out.
See, there's been a motion of censure.
You just go with that motion, and then you tell us, okay, so this is how far we've gone. All right? So you follow all these other... So calling a press conference yesterday, and we see that Kalonzo is addressing it flanked by the other party leaders, DAP-K party leader Eugene Wamalwa, who was a minister for devolution. Health is devolved. We are seeing a former governor of Muranga County, who's also a party leader, who was a governor for 10 years.
We see member of parliament for Yatta constituency. Member of parliament for who is this now?
The deputy minority leader in the National Assembly is the one behind there. Behind these guys. So what are they? So what? Okay, so they came out and they said, yeah. And then now what? Nakumicha should go home. Linturi should go home. Okay, then what?
After you've said it, then what?
Yeah. So you've come out, you've backed. You've gone back. You've been given a kabone. Chew on your bone and shut up.
Essentially. Then what happens?
Then what? Meanwhile, the health sector is set for more turbulent times as 3 other unions yesterday issued a 7-day strike notice. The Kenya Environmental Health and Public Health Practitioners Union, KEPHPU. Have you ever heard of this one?
Never.
KEHPHPU. I don't even know how they pronounce it. KEPHPU. The Kenya National Union of Pharmaceutical Technologist Officers, KNAPT.
What? What's wrong with you?
Kenya National Union of Pharmaceutical Technology Officers, KNAPT.
KNAPT, got it.
The Kenya National Union of Nutritionists and Dietitians, KUNAD. They said...
You're having fun with this, eh?
I've never heard of these unions, but they have said that they have presented demands to the Ministry of Health and the Council of Governors on April 2nd. We have done all the procedures required for a union to be recognized. We wrote a 7-day demand and nobody responded. The recognition of a trade union does not need any financial implication. Oh, these are new unions. They are not recognized yet. It's under Section 54 of the Labor Relations Act that upon satisfying given conditions, a trade union should be recognized, and the government has refused to do that. This is according to KUNAD, Secretary General Michael Odero. KUNAD are those ones for dietitians and nutritionists and dietitians. They're also demanding fair treatment and payment of all members, including posting and paying of interns and immediate recognition and absorption of the union's members. So those are other now cadres of healthcare workers who are in these other unions who are also doing what? Doing the thing. Yesterday, doctors and clinical officers and some nurses were out on the streets. They had a demonstration outside Afi House. They also went outside Parliament. And there's a man called Obenji, who is Walter Obenji, who's remained bedridden at the Kapsabet County Referral Hospital in Nandi with the hope of getting treatment. Days pass. He's losing hope. He's lonely in a deserted ward following the ongoing doctor strike that has paralyzed operations at the largest health facility in the county. I cannot walk and I need to be pushed in a wheelchair. I've not relieved myself and no one has come to help me, says Obenji. He's among thousands of patients across the country that are barely struggling to see the next day. Why? Because doctors, clinicians, and in some cases some nurses are not coming to work. And all we are doing is having conversations. Saying this, saying the other. In Parliament yesterday, members of Parliament from the Kenya Kwanza administration said, look, people, we are Parliament. We are the ones who allocate money. We have not allocated money. Can we talk about these things and allocate money? But there is no money. Kalonzo and the others are saying, but the government has collected a lot of money. They are collecting 2 trillion shillings.
Surely, every day.
They can now pay doctors. Kalonzo has never been a vice president in this country.
Has never?
No, I don't know. No, not this Kalonzo. It was a previous. It was another one.
Previous Kalonzo has been vice president.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Eugene has never been a cabinet secretary in this country. No, there was another Eugene, who was a minister for water, for devolution, for defense, and all those things. Not
somebody
this one.
Else. It's somebody else.
Let's take a break. Tell us what's happening on the roads.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Like I said, I don't think there's going to be an issue with that today, but let's just take a look at what's going on here and there around the city. Okay, Thika Superhighway in the city, 10 minutes maximum, you'll be fine. Uhuru Highway, maybe even 3 minutes. Mombasa Road out then towards the CBD. As you're coming off of Ngong Road, coming out of Westlands, it all looks pretty good. We have been told, however, that because of the rain, there'll be certain parts of the a country where there'll be pools of water. Be careful. Don't get into a pool of water for which you don't know its depth, because that is causing a lot of issues here and there. So just be careful wherever you might see those, whether you're coming in or out of the city this morning. We're going to keep an eye on things and see how they progress through the morning, but I don't think we'll have an issue with traffic today. Just in case we do, we'll be here to talk about it. Let's talk on SpiceFM, KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
About road accidents.
Yes, as much as I hate to report on it, let's just look at that. And we're looking at the fact that pedestrians bear the brunt of road crashes, and they have over the last couple of months. It's carried on page 2 of the Standard this morning, and let's just take a look at some of those details. 1,213 is the number of people that road accidents have killed in just 3 months, says NTSA. The pedestrians account for the largest number of fatalities at 445, followed by motorcyclists at 285 and passengers at 259. According to the data captured between January and April 3rd, pillion, those are motorcycles, passengers, come forth at 103, followed by drivers at 99 and pedal cyclists at 24. The deaths are an increase from a 5.8% to 1,146 during the same period last year. All right? The deaths have, however, increased following the latest accidents this week on the Kericho-Nakuru and Nakuru-Eldoret highways, where 15 people died this week.
Within 24 hours.
Within 15 people died. Early this month, 2 people died and at least 10 were injured. Mark you, today is the 10th of April. So when we talk about early this month, this means 10 days ago.
Within the last 10
Within the last 10 days, rather. A bus was traveling and it rammed into a truck on the James Gishuru-Rironi highway. Yesterday, were we talking about this particular road? Yes, we were. 4 others died Sunday morning when a Ken Sliver company bus with 39 passengers overturned at the notorious Nithi Bridge on the Meru-Nairobi highway. On Friday, Roads, Transport and Public Works Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen said the government is in the process of returning NTA officers to the roads. He also mentioned installations of digital speed cameras along the major highways to reduce accidents. Road accidents are a national catastrophe that we must address as an all-government, indeed all-public approach. In the last 20 years, we've been losing an average of 3,800 people annually. Many of these accidents are attributed to reckless driving and lack of respect for pedestrians. Others are caused by overloading and drunken driving. To address the problem, the CS said the ministry is working to finalize the introduction of instant fines. Even as we intensify joint enforcement of traffic rules, technology will, in the long run, reduce the errant behavior of road users. Murkomen said telematics, starting with school transport, will ensure all-time monitoring because of the dashboard cameras and other features. He also said they're reintroducing roadside drink driving tests. NTSA will get more resources to carry out its mandate in collaboration with other government agencies and help police in enforcement. So there seems to be, it goes on to talk about the things that they want to do, but it seems as though a lot or a majority of the accidents that we see can be attributed to reckless driving, right? Previously, there had been a suggestion that everybody who is in a public service vehicle is going to have to go through retraining. And then as you get that retraining done, then your license to operate in that manner then also can be renewed. There's also the thought or belief that if you reintroduce these spots for NTSA to be on the road in the green vehicles like they were before, that it'll serve as a deterrent from reckless driving or reckless behavior. And that also you're going to have spot checks for drink driving test. And we see
and so on and so forth.
And so forth and so forth.
You know, I think NTSA has very many questions to answer. In terms of, it's their responsibility to come up with policies on how we can improve safety, we can have better behavior on our roads and all those things, and also come up with policies that also guide the road agencies on what to do. the police on what to do, right? So let's start with just the infrastructure itself.
Yeah.
Are we saying that our infrastructure is good? Because remember the other time even Kipchumba was saying, because we have now tarmac on the roads, we are seeing an increase in the number of accidents. An area that previously did not have tarmac roads, then you put tarmac on that road, you see an increase in accidents. So it's basically like pointing to, because this road is now smooth surface, now people are driving faster, they're more reckless. Okay, let's say there's that. However, can we do an audit of all our roads and say that all these roads by design and by construction are actually fit for purpose? That any road that you say, if you look at the number of pedestrians who've been killed, pedestrians are not killed inside motor vehicles. Pedestrians are killed on the side of the road or maybe on the road. Are pedestrians crossing at the wrong place to cross? Should pedestrians be crossing on the road, or should pedestrians have a proper footbridge to cross, especially areas that have many pedestrians needing to cross? Okay, do we have adequate pedestrian crossing? Do we have that is without interfering with highway traffic?
Right.
Do you have proper road signage that warns you of what's ahead? That you know that this is coming, that you have a sharp bend coming up, you have all those things. Do we have adequate road signage? Do we have design of roads that have minimal of such interruptions, sharp bends and stuff? This area, for example, in Nakuru, Ngata, where another accident happened on Monday night, that area, by the way, you cannot tell exactly what causes that accident. It's a flat area, it's clear, you can see ahead, but there's always an accident there.
Why?
I do not know. The most that we see Kenha trying to do is putting bumps. So what else is it about this road that causes that accident? Have they done a study? Have they established what causes an accident here? Right? If then this section of the road requires that you expand the road so that you have more lanes, if vehicles going on one side have an extra lane and vehicles coming have an extra lane, because probably people are overtaking. Why are they overtaking? Because somebody is slow ahead of them. What is this that's causing these accidents here? Address it. That's one. That's NTSA's job. Second, it's behavior on our roads. And yes, I agree that motorist drivers have become completely reckless. I have just been doing an observation, and I've actually been commenting to many of my friends. This whole idea of keep left unless overtaking, it never sits on anyone's mind. Never.
No.
Keep left unless overtaking. Go onto thicker superhighway, go onto the expressway. You'll find somebody on the right lane. They're not overtaking.
But they're easy.
They're just easy. Okay? They should be on the left.
They should.
So to just keep the right
the traffic,
clear.
the right side, people can just keep going.
Someone who's overtaking can overtake. So you find people overtaking from the left, from the right, from all over, because everybody is all over. Okay? That's on those highways. On other roads, you'll find that people usually like to stick to the right of the road, because you do not know. There's going to be a mkokoteni, there's going to be a boda, there's going to be a matatu stopping because there's no stop. So you want to stay on the right so that you just keep flowing. This is an issue of the design. NTSA, again, have you established what is this? Why are people behaving this way on the roads? Don't just call them reckless drivers. What is making them reckless? Is it a complete lack of understanding, or is it trying to adapt to something? Because you are adapting because of something that you're noticing on the road. When people overlap, people don't just wake up and overlap. Why are they overlapping?
There's an issue.
There's an issue.
So what I hear you saying essentially is that everything that needs to be done to ensure that the road infrastructure is functioning properly needs to be done. And unfortunately, there are too many examples of how that doesn't happen.
Yes.
You need to eliminate that as a cause for these first. If you don't have properly marked roads, if you don't have properly designed roads, properly functioning roads, then that is going to cause a lot of these things that we see today. If somebody doesn't know that this is where they're supposed to go and ends up causing an accident, which could be fatal, can we attribute as much of that blame towards the fact that the road is not facilitated properly?
Yeah.
And yes, we can. So we need to eliminate that, and that is a countrywide thing. You need to ensure that all the roads properly marked. I mean, there are too many examples of how that doesn't happen or how that has not happened. And then when you talk about recklessness of drivers, sure, I do think there needs to be a retraining or a reminder of what's happening. But then you need to look at the reasons as well behind that. It's like you always say, people don't litter around their homes.
People don't, yeah.
But if you go to a place where there is no dustbin, what would you expect? Where would you expect people to throw their trash? Okay, so have you made sure that you've provided all that is necessary for them to perform this action?
Yeah.
If you haven't, then you need to make sure. And I think, do you know what I really think? And I think this is why you say there's policy, there's the makers of the policy, and there's research and evaluation for a reason. Do it. Ensure that the roads that have been designed are functioning properly, that they're well marked, that they're smooth. Do that over a period of time and see if you will not see a reduction in some of these things that you're talking about. That's how we learn. That is how we learn. Then you have the process of elimination where you have removed that. You will see that the numbers come down. And then now you can deal with these other things that also are causes of these things that we see on the road.
Yeah.
They're one too many. That people cross the road at a particular point. What does that mean? That people are walking on the side of the road where a vehicle comes out of nowhere and knocks them and kills them. Why are they walking in that place? Because there's no pedestrian walkway.
There's nowhere to walk. In fact, you'll find that many of these pedestrians who've died have died while crossing the road.
There you go.
Okay? So, at what point are they crossing the road? Is it a designated pedestrian crossing? Okay? How many footbridges do we have on the roads in this country? Think about the main highways. So start from Mlolongo, go all the way to Rironi, okay? This is a major road with heavy traffic and heavily built areas on both sides of the road. People will alight from a matatu on one side and cross over to their home on the other side. People will come from that side to come and do shopping on this side. How many footbridges do we see? This is a highway. Must you have people just trying to run across the road all the time? So sure, you can say an area like here at General Motors, if you find somebody trying to cross, there's a footbridge and they're trying to cross down there, we can blame that pedestrian.
Yes, because there's a footbridge. Use it, man. Yeah.
But there are very many other areas that we don't have footbridges. There are many other areas where we don't have pedestrian walkways. So it's rained. You have nowhere to walk. You'll end up walking on the road itself, on the carriageway.
You will.
You will be knocked down by a vehicle on the carriageway because that's the only place you could walk. You can't come and tell us, it's because people don't care. People don't. Who wants to die?
No, of course not. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, today I think I'm going to cross the street because I want to die. Nobody does that, of course. I think there's a lot of things that need to be done, and it needs to actually be applied with. We don't need any kind of slapstick solution to this thing. There need to be meticulous, open solutions, and they actually are there. This is not one of those things where you say, so what do we do? No, you can actually sort these things out. You can.
Yeah, the technology, you can come up with the technology. For example, now they're saying that school buses will be fitted with what? Telematics.
You
can tell where the school bus is. Okay. Yeah. Fine. But the area around the Nyeri Bridge, this has been an accident area for a long time. Has there ever been a conversation about elevating this road so that you cross the bridge, it becomes a straight, create a bridge at Nyeri? So the vehicles don't have to come down in a steep hill and then go up another steep hill. Can you just create a bridge around there? We see these things in other parts of the world.
Real quick.
In Kenya says you what?
Real quick.
This is not good. So there's another story here that's okay, it's interesting. There's a company that has been blacklisted by Kenya Bureau of Standards over this fertilizer issue. The directors of that company were summoned to Parliament yesterday, and they went. SBL Innovate Manufacturers Limited CEO Josiah Kariuki went to Parliament yesterday. The tensions flared when the director of a firm reportedly involved in the fake fertilizer scandal appeared before a parliamentary team to give his evidence. When the National Assembly Committee on Agriculture Chairman John Mutunga accused SBL Innovate Manufacturer Limited Director Josiah Kariuki of lying regarding his involvement in the scandal, Kariuki criticized the committee for antagonizing him despite accepting their invitation to clear the air on the matter. Kariuki was accompanied by 7 advocates, including Dunstan Omari, Cliff Ombeta, and others. he faced a barrage of questions from the committee members who pressed him to clarify his role in the fertilizer scandal that has rocked the country. I want to inform Kariuki that we did not come here to joke. The information he's sharing in the committee is inconsistent, which clearly shows he is lying to Kenyans about his role in the fake fertilizer scandal, where he's been mentioned adversely. We are not going to allow this, said the chairman, Mr. Mutunga. Committee took Kariuki to task for claiming that he had started selling fertilizer on the strength of a verbal agreement with NCPB, only to sign a written contract 8 months later. The lawmakers also wanted to know how Kariuki managed to ink a deal with NCPB without an agreement, and how he started selling the fertilizer despite not receiving approval from the standards body. The director said he approached the Kenya Bureau of Standards and applied for a standard mark of quality around November 2022, adding that he was the first distributor to make such a request, while other companies worked with NCPB without a written agreement. There were other companies working as distributors with the National Cereals and Produce Board without a formal contract. My company was the first one to seek an official contract to have a mark of quality. I should not be vilified over this, since other companies have even been working without one. I'm the one who went to seek KEBS to certify my product. He said after his company was stopped from operating by KEBS last month, he asked his employees to go on leave. He has also been admitted to hospital for 1 week, and he sought time to submit required documents, a request that the committee dismissed. So the man is in Parliament, and the Parliament is doing the thing that Parliament usually does. So now how did you start selling fertilizer? Okay. What was it? What's the issue? The fertilizer fake or is it not? I think that's the bottom line. Is the fertilizer fake or is it not?
Can that be answered?
That's it. This
Story.
One. Are you threatening the committee? Oh, just stories, brother.
Story.
And you'll see, like you've said before, this fertilizer investigation going nowhere.
Nothing.
We are going nowhere.
I'm telling you, by the time it clocks April 30th like this, we'll be talking about something else.
Oh,
yes. It's finished. This one is done.
It's
We'll
gone.
make noise. Next. We'll do May 1st, or minimum wage goes to 17,000. Out. Done. So it's not happening anymore. As is.
Yeah.
I'll be a monkey's uncle.
Okay.
If this one.
Yeah.
The investigation, people heads roll, people read court.
Jail.
Me.
Not even jail, court.
Call me on air.
Onger nakuja.
Chiloba murder suspect went on a spending spree using victims' money. Remember the young gentleman Chiloba who was murdered?
Oh, and his body stuffed in a box. In Eldoret, excuse me. Mm-hmm.
The prime suspect in the murder of Edwin Kipto, alias Chiloba, went on a spending spree after his killing. According to state witnesses, told the court that Jackton Odhiambo, alias Liza, found the body of the 26-year-old decomposing body in his house as he sought some good time using the deceased's money. He allegedly visited various entertaining joints and even paid for a massage and sex. The transactions were done using Kipto's M-Pesa number. Even the metallic box in which the body was stashed had been bought using the victim's money. Corporal Jonathan Limo, a DCI data analyst seconded to Safaricom, tabled his report in court, calls data and statements belonging to the accused and the deceased. Limo told the court that Kipto received 123,800 shillings in the morning of December 31st, 2022 from his foster father, who had testified in court earlier. The transactions show that later in the night, the same Kipto was seen alive. Some money was paid to a popular club in Eldoret town, and in the morning of the new year, 750 shillings was paid to a taxi operator. Corporal Limo went through the various transactions, with some showing that a woman codenamed P.O., who also testified, received 4,000 shillings on the 3rd of January last year. At around 8 a.m. in the morning, 7,500 shillings was transferred to one Obadiah Ochieng, a workshop owner who testified earlier in court, saying that he received the money for a metallic box that he sold to the accused. A massage therapist testified that Odhiambo was referred to her by a friend who said the client needed a massage and sexual services. The transaction showed the money had all been sent by Edwin Kipto. Odhiambo has denied killing Kipto, who was a fourth-year student pursuing a degree in apparel fashion and design at the University of Eldoret. A noble
is Chiloba?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. In Uasin Gishu County. His body was discovered stashed in a metallic box along the Kip-Kenyo-Kaptinga Road in Kapsaret on the 3rd of January last year. So if his body was found decomposing on the 3rd of January, that means he had died earlier and was stuffed in the box. However, all of these transactions had been done
coming from his phone.
From his phone on the same 3rd of January.
So the killer paid for the metal box. The killer paid for a massage and sex. Oh, well, okay. So not the killer, the alleged killer.
The alleged killer.
The imposter.
Yes.
Let's say the imposter, the person who's actually manipulating this guy's M-Pesa account, has paid for massage and sex.
And a taxi.
Paid for a taxi. And this is the taxi that carried the box.
Box, apparently.
Paid for the box. This massage story.
He was having a good time. Whoever it was having a good time. Okay. Now, mind you, the therapist testified that this person actually showed up.
So, and who is this person?
The accused, who is and
who was said to be a very close friend, in fact, a lover of this chap.
Yes. Is the one who showed up.
This is a convoluted story.
Completely.
Okay, so if these two guys were lovers, that means that they are gay.
Yes.
But the woman who provided sexual favors and a massage
is a woman. But just because he's gay does not mean he's exclusively gay.
All right.
Get it?
Okay. So,
you understand?
Sheiks, man.
Well done.
So the allegation, if we go by the police allegation here, is that he killed his lover and he brought in another lover.
Yes.
For the lover.
It's the lover.
Guys.
It's a mess. It's a mess. This one is not looking pretty at all. This story says that witnesses will continue today. I do not know that the courts will sit today, being a public holiday, but Johansson Odur is meant to give some evidence before the court.
Okay.
Remember, and this is now the massage therapist says here very clearly. Odhiambo. Remember, Jackton Odhiambo. This is the alias Liza, right? Who is now sitting charge in court.
Yes.
She says, Odhiambo, who was in a taxi, remember? 750 paid to the taxi.
Yes.
Using M-Pesa from
Chiloba.
From Chiloba.
Yes.
He picked me up at my house and we went to an Airbnb where I offered my services, including massage and sex. And then we had a short conversation before I left. He paid me 4,000 shillings via M-Pesa. According to Corporal Limo, as they look through these transactions, these 4,000 shillings that was paid to this lady came from Kipto's phone, but it was for these services that were given to Odhiambo. Yes. Crazy.
You may have eaten donkey meat over Easter.
Okay.
In December 2023, 10 suspects were arrested in Makueni for unlawfully slaughtering 15 donkeys and attempting to transport the meat in Nairobi. This story is basically talking about how we have a proliferation of donkey meat in the market. A month earlier, authorities seized several kilos of donkey meat from a suspect in Nairobi's Bama market. January this year, 2 suspects detained with 12 slaughtered donkeys and handed over to authorities. The proliferation of donkey meat in meat markets can be attributed part to the high demand for meat, and among the highly sought-after delicacies by Kenyans is beef, whether it's choma, kafry, or kaboiro.
I was just waiting.
However, this increased demand for beef poses a significant health risk, as Kenyans may inadvertently consume donkey meat, or worse, may have already done so. Well, donkey meat is not dangerous, it's not unhealthy. Donkey is actually classified as a meat in this country. That's why we license slaughterhouses. The issue here is it's uninspected. Because the people who are then ending up with this donkey meat in the market have not gone through the proper health checks. Number one, a vet officer must inspect the meat. And then number two, a public health officer must inspect the way the meat is transported into the market. Hapo ndio chida. Hiko. Next time nakula ka dry fry, kubuka, hata puda ni nyama. 7 a.m. Good morning.
Spice up your life.
Good morning. This is the Newswire. I am Adrian Lisamira. As the doctor's strike enters the 28th day, Kikuyu MP Kimani Ichung'wah has blamed county governments for the crisis, saying they've been overworking intern doctors.
Why it has become such a problem is because our healthcare is decaying and rotting under the hands of our county governments. That our intern doctors are making a very critical point. Our doctors for long have demanded the establishment of a Health Services Commission, Honorable Speaker. Today, while the intern doctors feel mistreated, is because they are being overworked. And therefore, the Council of Governors, Honorable Speaker, must come out and take their position, their rightful position in ensuring that the intern doctors who work in those hospitals are not overworked.
Ichung'wah's statement comes as the Kenyatta University Referral and Teaching Hospital sacked striking doctors. The hospital's board chairperson Olive Mugenda says the facility is usually run by 250 doctors, but only 82 are providing services. This has forced the facility management to enlist doctors from Ethiopia, Malawi and Tanzania, but the striking doctors say they're not moved by the hospital's decision to sack them.
Management and the board for taking this direction, because otherwise you'll be seated here, our oncologists on strike and our patients dying at home or really the disease progressing.
So we are not worried by what he's doing. We are encouraging our doctors to stay put, and by the end of the day they will return to work with a good return to work formula.
Meanwhile, the opposition led by Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka has threatened to join the doctors' protest to pressure the government to address their demands.
Why don't you have collected all the money from every Kenyan bleeding, literally bleeding the economy in order to get money. So we can only come to one conclusion that this is an extravagant regime.
Pay your doctors, and yet you have money to give new jobs called CSs, creating offices and rewarding your cronies, and who are going to be earning more than the honorable members of parliament, and you're saying you cannot pay the doctors. This is the height of irresponsibility by any government.
MPs drawn from the Team Ground movement led by Embakasi's Babu Owino and his Githunguri counterpart Gathoni Wamuchomba joined the doctors in their protest yesterday. The National Disaster Operations Center has advised residents in low-lying areas across Tana River, Garissa and Lamu counties to evacuate as the water levels of the Seven Forks Dam rise rapidly, with an imminent spillover expected in the coming days. This even as 11 people have so far died and thousands rendered homeless following floods reported across 9 counties. Several roads in northeastern and eastern parts of the country have also been cut off, with 40 livestock deaths recorded in Turkana County. In Narok County, a family of 4 died after they were buried in their house following a mudslide. Hundreds of residents in Kisumu and Kirinyaga counties were also rendered homeless and their property destroyed by the raging waters. Counties that have been affected by the floods include Nairobi, Turkana, Busia, Marsabit, Tana River and Taita Taveta. Meanwhile, families displaced by floods in Budalangi, Busia County have been speaking about their ordeal.
Vijiji fulani vimekufa kwa sababu ya maji. Mtaa kama Namabusi penye walikuwa wameweka shule kwa sababu maji na maji. Mudimbia watu wamehama wote, hiyo village imekufa. Ukunda watu wamehama, hiyo village hakuna watu kwa sababu ya maji. Ukienda Runyu imezingirwa na maji kila mahali.
Maji imeshatufamia tena mara ya pili, imetufamia hata njizi ninavyoongea saa hii hivi. Nyumba yangu iko kwa maji na watoto na familia, pa kuelekea niko napiga hesabu lakini haiendani. Na mifugo zetu mahali pa kutafuna nyazi hakuna.
The displaced families also blamed the government for failing to find a lasting solution to the problem.
Serikali inajikokota sana kwa sababu kufikia sasa tungekuwa na mahali penye serikali imeshatambua ya kwamba watu wakimbilie hapa, lakini mara mingi serikali inataka watu wahangaike, pengine wa maafa yawe ndio waanze kushughulika.
And finally, Djibouti has joined the race for the African Union Commission chairperson, becoming the third East African nation alongside Kenya and Somalia to front a candidate for the post. The country has chosen its Foreign Affairs Minister Mohamud Ali as its candidate for the post, saying he has extensive experience in diplomacy, which they believe makes him well suited for the role. Ali will be contending with Kenya's Raila Odinga and Somalia's Fawzia Yusuf, a former foreign minister, in the race to succeed the incumbent Musa Faki, who has held the position since 2017. That's the Newswire.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
Not much of that this morning. I think we're getting through into the city. In and outbound will not be an issue. Really doesn't matter where you are today. Of course, because the downtime, it's a holiday, so folks are not out and about as they normally would be. We'll do a shout out just in case anything does go out of whack. Let us know what's going on where you are through the city and, of course, through other parts of the nation this morning. SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latin, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
7, how are you doing? Welcome to the second hour of The Situation Room. Eid Mubarak, everybody, wherever you're tuned in from. SpiceFM, on YouTube, on Facebook, on X, on KTN Home. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. We're glad that you tuned in as we celebrate Eid today. We wish all our Muslim brothers and sisters Eid Mubarak. Enjoy the day. It's been 40 days of fasting, and may it make a big impact on your life and the lives of others. What's the plan? I see a lion wants to know. Do you have a plan? They say, well, everybody has a plan. You know, that's what we do. As a human being, you're always thinking ahead and wishing for something. I wish next week, next month, I'd like to do this and the other. You know, I'm thinking just from the basics. Schools closed when? Last week. Schools are opening when?
In a month.
In a month.
3 weeks, yeah.
So the plan is to have school fees by the time schools
Pen.
higher. The plan is to have money to send your children back to school, whether it's just bus fare. Even if you had paid school fees in advance, you had not paid bus fare in advance.
Yes.
You need that. The plan is to have at least something for school by the time schools reopen.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, there'll be another term. And beyond that, there's something else. There are other things that you're doing. Oh, it's planting season. What's the plan? Well, it's going to be so. Everybody has a plan. What are you thinking of? So don't only think about, life in retirement. ICA Lion tells you whatever the plan is, even if you're thinking about, I need to have a structured way of making sure that my children go to school on time with full school fees paid, or with school fees paid and there's a structure that's working. They can help you with that. Oh, I need to think about my health and my family's health cover. I want to know that whatever happens, we at least have some health cover. That is also a plan. I want to know that we have something for emergencies. In the event of an emergency, we have something working. That is a plan. ICEA Lion says, whatever your plan, come, we can listen to you, think together, create a solution that suits you and works for you. And then we move forward. How do you get in touch with them? plan@icealion.co.ke. That's an email. plan.icealion.co.ke. That's a website. That's plan.icealion.co.ke. Or You can follow them on the social media handles, ICLI on Kenya, everywhere, on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, on Facebook. Where else? X. Right?
Yeah.
Wako kila mahali. Talk to them. Let's talk about the country, as we are seeing very many things happening. Opposition is saying this and the other. Members of parliament are saying this. Doctors are saying the other. Clinical officers and nurses. And now there are several other unions, including dietitians. Who are the others? Several unions here.
Nurses, dietitians. There are quite a number.
There are quite a number of new unions here. In fact, listen to this union. There's a union called the Kenya Environmental Health and Public Health Practitioners Union. KEHPHPU. How do you pronounce it? There's the Kenya National Union of Pharmaceutical Technologist Officers, KNUPT, NAPT. The Kenya National Union of Nutritionists and Dietitians, KUNAD. First of all, they want to be recognized, and they've also issued a strike notice. Our guest this morning is Peter Mushendo, a governance expert. He's here. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning to you.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Good to see you, brother.
Good to see you too, sir.
Karibu sana.
Asante, nimeshukuru.
CT sends his greetings.
Yes.
He's away, he's chilling. But he'll be back soon, God willing. And he says the products for this week, the proverbs for this week are from the Kingdom of Morocco. Have you been there?
No. I've not been to Morocco. But I hope one day I'll get to see the city of Marrakech. Yes. Yeah.
You know, you're a farmer.
Yes.
Morocco.
Yes.
Produce fertilizer.
Yes.
Na si hii gushi. Si mbolea gushi. Wao wako na mbolea. For real. Okay. Today's proverb.
Yes.
The ones who fear live. The ones who fear live.
Yes. I think I'll do a direct interpretation of the proverb that for you to get a long life, you have to exercise precaution. And that means that you do not just dip into everything. You are very careful on what you do so that it doesn't affect your span of life. Yes.
One of those deep Moroccan villages has a dialect that has this proverb. It says, Kegoya keino kirenyina.
Which is a very good thing.
It's a deep Moroccan dialect.
Yeah. It's a very good thing because some of the things are not worth doing. Sometimes walking away is always a very good solution.
Interesting.
I really hope politicians in Kenya would learn to walk away from the appetite of corruption. Yeah.
But that's what attracts them into politics.
I don't
those who go into politics.
I think we have told ourselves that lie too many times that we want to make it a norm in the country that there is a give and take behind the scene on everything you see on the surface. And I think that is one of the things that is destroying this country. You have just talked about fertilizer. I think for me it's a test for this government to see whether we will bring culprits to face the law. Because as I was coming, I was listening to you guys talk about how in Kenya tomorrow there will be something else and this will be forgotten. And then I guess it will speak too much on whether government is serious in curbing corruption. Because there is no bigger corruption like a farmer cultivating your land in the hope that you have been given the best prescription for that land, and you end up knowing that what you put under the soil was fake. There can never be a corruption that is bigger than that, because you have not just stolen from that Kenyan, you have made his hard work go to waste. And I think for me that the government must be seen to act, not just to talk. You know, in Kenya, talking tough is yes.
The minister has said there's no fake fertilizer.
I think maybe then we need to ask whether the minister is alive to the very responsibility he has been assigned by government, because nobody short of the president himself who has admitted that a mistake, as they say, has been seen, and an act of corruption, because it is purely an act of corruption. When you end up with Kenyans getting fake fertilizers, this country cannot be worse than that. And therefore, it is a very big question. And I have always questioned, because I like to be independent-minded, whether some of the cabinet ministers are alive to the very responsibilities that has been assigned to them. Because you cannot say one thing today and the president is saying another tomorrow. There must be some questions asked whether is it that the president, as he alluded to it last year, that he understands some ministries better than the people who are allocated to those ministries. And I think for me, in this case, there is no way your boss is saying, look, we admit there's a problem here, and you working on what is called delegated authority, you are telling us otherwise. This can only mean you are either applying escapism, or number two, you are aware of the underhand tactics within the ministry that you do not wish to bring to the greater light of the public. That can only be the very question. And therefore, I think, based on that issue of fertilizer, it is an issue enough to actually have the head role in that ministry, because we cannot, and you trust me, how can we expect the very people who are charged with the responsibility of distributing the so-called fertilizer to be also the people who are hands-on in terms of that investigation? It is not practically possible. How do you send a leopard to go and look for a sheep that is lost? You are definitely assured that that sheep will not be found. And therefore, I think that issue of fertilizer must not be taken on face value.
But what does that mean? I mean, this is one government. The cabinet secretary, so the issue comes out in public that there are farmers who are saying, I bought fertilizer, and when I went, because I am a farmer, it's not my first time being a farmer, I have used fertilizer before. The product that I bought from the cereals board, and I came with it to my farm, on opening it, I found something that doesn't look like fertilizer. And I bought it knowing it's fertilizer. It was sold to me knowing it's fertilizer. So that story comes out. The Ministry of Agriculture comes out and says, no, those are rumors. We know the people who are spreading such nonsense. These are just busybodies. Next thing, the ministry says, actually, no. It was not fake fertilizer. It was, what was it?
Soil conditioner.
Soil conditioner. Then the minister goes to Parliament and says, actually, just how many bags were they?
3,000.
3,000 bags. The deputy president, speaking elsewhere, talks about 50,000 bags. The president goes to NCPB and says, I want those who are responsible for this scam to be arrested. Is this one government?
You see, this is the truth, that whether that fertilizer was a soil conditioner or whatever it was, is it what the farmer wanted in the first place?
That's the thing.
You know, we start there. Because if I am going to get the dressing fertilizer, I want dressing fertilizer from NCPB, that is what I go and indicate on my purchase forms. I want a dressing fertilizer for my shamba. Why should I be given something that is not what I really wanted? So in the first place, let's first of all agree at that point, what you are delivering to Kenyans is not what they want. Number two, this issue of fertilizer speaks to whether our Kenyan Bureau of Standards is working as it is expected. It is one of the organizations that has had polarized politics for some time now, and this now says that we have a Kenya Bureau of Standards that is not doing its job. Because let's face the fact, when you say that the fertilizer was not up to standard, who is supposed to do the standardizing of these imported, because you and I know these are imported commodities. We do not produce them here in this country. And therefore, I think the truth of the matter, I was reasoning to the NCPB guys being grilled yesterday at Parliament, and I can bet you they still gave different numbers than what was being said. And the fact that there is being quoted quite a number of different numbers is where you must know that there is more than meet the eye behind this saga, because we are not even sure whether, do we say the entire fertilizer that has been imported in that span of time is actually good for consumption of farmers? And that should beg the question today, how many Kenyans have the confidence to walk into NCPB and purchase that fertilizer in the believe that it is the right commodity that they are going to put in their chambers? And for me, I think we are coming from a place where for the last 4 years we have not had good rains in the country. Then we get into a place where nature conspires and God gives us rain. And then Kenyans are working very hard to plant, and they end up getting half of what they would have yielded because somebody supplied some fake fertilizers. You are not just sabotaging farmers, you are sabotaging the economy. You are sabotaging the ability of this country to feed itself. And therefore, by now, with honesty that I can get from the government and Kenyans, we should have people home.
Well, here, this is the thing, Mushandu. I think you've said a number of times, you didn't supply to Kenyans what they wanted.
Yes.
I think it goes beyond that. You didn't supply to Kenyans what you said you would.
Yes.
You told them very clearly that this is fertilizer. It's not about what they want. Of course, this is what they needed for, agriculture, but you did not supply to them what you said you would. So, first of all, you've lied. Second of all, you've done below that which you promised. So you've cheated. Clean.
Yes.
But for me, where I see this being an issue is because we talk about prosecution, we talk about investigation, we say something needs to be done, we say heads need to roll. But I'm from the place whereby I'm saying that it is just another case where this thing will happen, nothing will be done about it, and we will turn the page and we will continue as though it doesn't matter. We have so many examples of how things like this have happened in the past. Look at COVID. COVID, people were sick, people were dying. Money was released for certain things to be done. Till today, those things have not been done. It's a thing that we talk about, like the great floods of whenever. We talk about COVID billionaires as a place mark in history of something that happened. And we look back and we say, oh my goodness, that actually happened? Yes. And then we move on. This is just another thing like that. Do you really think that it is possible to say somebody must be held to account? Who? I dare say that the people who are behind this knew this conversation would be happening. They knew that in different pockets we'll talk about this thing, but they also knew that after some time it will blow over. And they also know, as is the practice, that nobody will ask questions beyond that parliament, that nobody will recommend investigation and prosecution, that nobody will name the names of the individual who today they know who they are, and that after some time lethargy will kick in and nobody wants to discuss it anymore. We close the book, put it in the shelf, and we move on to something else.
I think the onus on this one is on the president and his government, because the fact of the matter is the president promised Kenyans that fertilizer.
Yep.
The fact is also that the president does not strictly work at NCPB and how fertilizer is imported. That is one point. But it is the responsibility of his government, led by the president, to take action, because if you were the one as the president who promised Kenyan subsidized fertilizer that was meant to increase their yield, and that has not happened, as much as you do not work for NCPB and you do not work for Kenya Bureau of Standards or the Kenya Ports Authority where that fertilizer is coming, the moment that issue comes up to you, you need to take action. And that's why I'm saying for some seriousness or for even Kenyans to begin to imagine that the culprits will have them answer, we will have them answer for their troubles today. Whoever is in the Kenya Bureau of Standard that actually looked at the fertilizer that came should be home. Whoever is in charge of NCPB and how they correct fertilizer, I don't know the formula they used to get it to the port to come, that person needs to be home.
But that's what I'm saying, Peter.
Yes.
That for such things to come out in the scandalous nature in which they do that, this is well oiled, it's well orchestrated. I do believe that the fertilizer that went to Kenya Bureau of Standards was worth it was pure, it was clean. I'm sure that the sample that went, because it's a sample, they don't take the whole however many thousands of bags, do they?
No.
It is a sample that represents the rest. I do believe that the sample that went before KBS was clean. And they gave it the mark of quality and they said, go ye forth. And that's what I'm saying, it's so well oiled, it's so well orchestrated, because
but you realize
what happens thereafter is the stuff of scandal.
But also, it's also important to note that the Kenya Bureau of Standards is not mandated just to test what you take to them. They are supposed to do periodic and announced check on this quality of what is already in the country. It is their canon responsibility to do it. So what I'm saying is, because let's also face the fact that the issue of fake fertilizer is not just unique to this government. It was also a scandal in the previous government. And therefore, there seems to be a very well orchestrated cartel that is dealing with fertilizers. It makes us question whether in the last 10 years up to now, have we been getting genuine fertilizer?
Or not.
And you know, it is not just speaking to the yield. It is also speaking to the quality of the crop that we produce.
And
is it healthy for us to consume? It is making us ask a lot of questions. And therefore, the government of His Excellency, the President William Ruto, cannot run away from this.
What would it look like?
It will run away from
No. I'm saying
it cannot.
I'm saying I don't want to preempt what they will do from now going forward. But I am saying what I am saying is if they cannot deal with this issue of fertilizer right now, because we have a disease in Kenya that is called procrastination. We are looking, and one of the things that I feel in this country we missed when we orchestrated the Constitution 2010. It is a provision where government is allowed to appoint address commissions of inquiry. Because the next thing, if I am not mistaken, the next thing you will hear the ministry do, which is very sad, it is we have appointed a task force to do this. Today, the other day I was here with you, we were talking about Shakahora. A task force was appointed. A task force went and came up with a report. I went through that report as it was presented to the president for actioning. They gave the actioning point. Have we seen anything happen? No, we have not seen anything happen. And therefore, I think the problem and the most unfortunate thing would be that the current government overlooks this and moves to other things. Because as you have said...
The point is, Mushendo,
yes,
it will. Okay? There's nothing in the political class, whether it is those in government right now, that's William Ruto and his cabinet, or those in the leadership of Azimio, who are leaders in the previous government, who at least have serious political influence, nothing is showing any willingness to address these issues. Nothing. Even if we go back into, let's say, COVID. COVID, we saw them waxing lyrical. The president himself saying, I want a report in 2 weeks. I want a report brought to me in 2 weeks on what these COVID millionaires are. Members of Parliament forming committees in the National Assembly, in the Senate, saying no stone will be left unturned. Summoning people and asking them, how did you get? How did you go to go? How did you? Nothing came out of it.
Yes.
Nothing. Not EACC, not DCI, not Parliament. Nothing. Okay. The culture of people must go home always ends up with the junior people or smaller people in that chain going home. The beneficiaries, the billionaires, they don't go anywhere. Those who you say, okay, so KEMSA, how did this happen? Procurement manager home, CEO home, bring a new one. Then you go into the next thing. Oh, malaria, mosquito nets. Remove the leadership of KEMSA, bring a new board. That one, go home. Have you heard anything happening about that malaria scandal? The mosquito net. Go home. This one, fertilizer. As long as we are treating it the same way, even if you look at, and I was saying it earlier, as the Mio leadership calling a press conference to say, Nakumicha, Nani should go home. This one. And clicking their tongues and this is absolute nonsense. Let's accept as citizens that those that we have entrusted with leadership are there to steal from us. And we must find ways of dealing with them. Because this is what we need to do. We need to make sure that Medeka Linturi knows he cannot get away with just coming up with a statement and saying, no, it was just 3,000. It was just oil conditioner. No, that's not the point. We cannot just get away with the president walking into NCPB and saying, I need an investigation, and then it ends there. It cannot be that members of parliament are going to summon people and have some drama and it ends there. It cannot be that those who want to be the next leadership of this country, those in the opposition, will call a press conference and shout and shout and shout and threaten and warn, and it ends there. It cannot be. The thieves are sitting pretty.
The problem in this country, the problem in this country is that leaders in this country don't want to take political responsibility. I was reading an old story. I came across an old story the other day about Pakistan. Some years back, there was a very grisly train accident in Pakistan. And even before something could be done, the minister in charge, the secretary of transport in Pakistan, the MD of the railway company in Pakistan had resigned within an hour of that accident because it was already in the news that there was a problem with the railway that had not been fixed. And I think one of the major problems we have is that we have not allowed the top brass to take political responsibility. Because if today this was happening in Pakistan or in Brazil or in India for a fact, the minister would have resigned, voluntarily resigned, and accepted to be investigated. And I think, as you have put it right, the moral compass of the government official will be put in question, because if you look at COVID, the people who ended up paying for it were the junior officers in the ministry. The CEO of KEMSA, Dr. Jogona, who was not the person controlling how COVID equipments were being brought in the country, and who, because when we say we want to give the nation subsidized fertilizer, this is done through what you call a cabinet decision. And therefore that cabinet decision is communicated downward for implementation. And if there is a problem, and because here we are not saying if, we know there is a problem, and I have said the only honest thing for the Minister of Agriculture to do is to take responsibility, step aside, allow investigations to be done, because we are not, as I have said, we are not just talking about the yield going down. We are also questioning the quality of the crop that we will produce. Are they hazardous to us if we eat them, considering this is not what was supposed to be given to those crops? And therefore, regardless of how the government is going to take this issue, my honest opinion is that there has to be a political responsibility beginning with the Minister of Agriculture, because if the president, and he has, you saw him at NCPB, he has accepted that there is a mess within NCPB. Before we can go for the people at the NCPB who are actually the actual people perpetrating it on behalf of someone, we must start with the top brass, the minister, the PS, the director of agriculture, and all those people. I think they should be home and allow a clear investigation to take place. That is if the government is intending to be seen, not just to say, to act.
Let's take a break. 25 to 8. Our guest this morning is Peter Mushendo. He's a governance expert. We're talking about the country. What do we need to fix the things that are not working?
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Embark on an unforgettable journey through the heart of Africa at the Festac Africa Festival 2024. Destination Kisumu. Join us from May 20th to 26th for Africa's celebration of global culture, fashion, music, dance, and more. Immerse yourself in a week-long extravaganza featuring professionals from across the continent as we explore the theme of sustainable growth trajectory for Africa through culture, trade, travel, and tourism. Don't miss this opportunity to experience the vibrant diversity and boundless energy of Africa in just 7 days. Warua Kidala.
I've got a plan to make my investment sizzle hotter than a Sunday barbecue grill. ICEA Lion has a plan for everyone. Talk to us today for a plan that's right for you. Or visit icealion.co.ke. ICEA Lion, what's your plan?
The weather with
Nairobi, it's 16 degrees. We'll see highs of 27, back down to lows of 16. It's 16 and partly sunny in Nakuru with highs of 25, and we'll see highs of 27. In a mostly cloudy Nyeri at 15, 13 and sunny in Eldoret, highs of 25. And Mombasa is sunny at 27, with Malindi sunny, rather cloudy at 28. Sunny at 20 in Kisumu with highs of 28, and we'll see highs of 28 in a sunny Kakamega, currently at 16. Kampala is cloudy at 20 with highs of 28, while sunny at 24. Dar es Salaam will see highs of 32. 9 degrees and sunny in Johannesburg with highs of 20. Mogadishu at 29 is sunny this morning with highs of 33. We'll see highs of 23 in Addis Ababa through Wednesday, currently cloudy at 15. Lagos is clear at 28 with highs of 35 today, and 33 will be the high in a mostly clear Kinshasa at 24.
Some very nice, mature music.
It really took me back to my days, and I can just feel young again and enjoy the vibes.
Spice.
I'm a big listener of SpiceFM.
You play the best music.
This is 94.4 Spice FM.
Today, most of the roads you will be able to get through, no problem whatsoever. As you're coming from the Thika Superhighway into the city, very quick, very clear. Kiambu Road, nothing do you, as we say. Coming in then towards where there's been drama over the last week, for the first time in a long time. Clear roads coming in from Muranga Road towards the Globe Cinema roundabout, in through towards Central City. I'm coming onto Moy Avenue. Okay, yeah. Because of the public holiday, we won't see much action today. But just in case we do, we'll keep an eye on things. Let's talk, shall we? SpiceFMKE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Our guest this morning, many things happening, Peter. So there's fertilizer on one hand, there's the doctor strike on another, there is the issue of delayed disbursement of capitation. So what latest figures do you have on that? We'd like to hear. There is the issue of delayed disbursement to counties. There's so many things, so we can see what's not working. What's our route to a solution?
Well, especially on the issue of capitation, because I remember it was one of the hot topics we had the last time I was here. And I've taken a very keen interest on how capitation is being done at schools. A student in high school is entitled to 21,000 shillings as capitation money.
22,450 actually.
Yes. Of course, when you reduce what they say is the processing and what have you. Now, last year, eventually they ended up on disparting, I think, 10,000 shillings per student per year. I attended a meeting that was in KU by the Education Committee in Parliament some few weeks ago. And we are at today's April, we are heading to our second term. We have only dispersed about 4,000 shillings.
For term one?
Yes, 4,000. It doesn't, because if it's 22,000 shillings and you're dispersing for 3 terms, assuming you do an equal disbursement, you're talking about 7,000 shillings and some few hundreds per term, which has not happened. That is one. Then, on the other end, you have members of parliament who are dealing with CDF, and if you may have seen, you have seen quite a number of parliament talking about a unified or uniform award of Form 1 bursaries, capped mostly at 1,000. And you realize that the members of parliament are saying that a student is already being given capitation, and therefore whatever they are giving to schools is enough. Now, assuming you have a school of 500 students and all of them are day scholars and they are being given 1,000 shillings per term as they are being given, it's about 500,000. A student is supposed to receive capitation of 22,000. He gets 4,000 per student. There's about 2 million Kenya shillings dispersed to that school, plus the 500,000 that is being given by CDF, and therefore a parent is told you cannot now pay because CDF has paid the balance. That means that Mwalim has been given 2.4 million to run a school in one term. He is expected to pay the non-teaching staff who are working at the school. He is expected to pay utilities within the school. She or he is expected to buy the necessary equipment needed to run the school. That same person is supposed to feed the 500 students an entire term. And when you add up all those things, then there is a problem. A very big problem, because there is no way a teacher will not ask parents to give more money if you only have 2.4 million to run a school of 500 students for one term, because you're getting salary from that basket, you're getting food, and one of the biggest budget for schools is food. So it's quite a costly affair. And therefore, I think we have a problem that must be addressed, and now, because why would we give capitation at 22,000 shillings, budget it, have ministerial statement confirming the money has left treasury, but when you go and talk to the head teachers, and some of them are gracious enough to show you the books, that money has not reached, because the treasury, every time they release money, they communicate that we have released this money from the exchequer to the relevant ministry. Why is the Ministry of Education not dispersing that money on time? Because what happens? It is our high school today are working on a very crazy pending bills for suppliers. It means I, Mojendo, who has been supplying cabbages to school B or school C, will not get paid. And ultimately, I will not be able to meet the needs of my family. So that is one of, because we must not hide our face in the sad that all is well. All is not well, because you have members of parliament castigating teachers that they are misusing parents by asking them for more money. So you will find that already in the schools, parents have been set up against the leaders of the institutions in terms of being told these people are exhausting money from you. But on the other hand, that principal, that head teacher, supposed to receive 7,000 per student per term, has not received. Sometimes I've looked about 76 schools have not received more than 2,000 shillings in terms of capitation. Then we have a problem that must be addressed. And one of the major problems we have in this country is that most of us who are within government, we want to hide our face in the sad and not say the sad reality. And I think, as I have insisted, that it is time the president realizes, if he hasn't, that the caliber of people working for him are failing us as Kenyans. And that failure can only be attributed to the presidency, because every minister, every CS, every PS is operating on a delegated authority.
Indeed. Do you think then that the need, because look, when you have cancer, when there's a foreign object in your body, the doctor doesn't look at it and say, well, okay, how about we sit with this a little bit longer and see how it will fare in the body, isn't it? The doctor says, we need radical surgery, we need to remove this thing today, and then thereafter, we can see that we apply some treatment so that either the thing doesn't come back, or that we can make sure we're living in this situation as best we can. But the first thing is that you must cut it out. The thing that is causing this rot, the thing that is causing this stench, we must remove it. And that's why I agree. I'm along the lines of folks like John Pombe Magufuli and Samia Suluhu, who said, what? This thing is going wrong under your watch. It's been going wrong over and over. You get out. Very clean. No question. Did you maybe? You leave. Then now we can see what we can do to fix the situation. Do you think there needs to be such a radical move here? Because in 2023, education, I'm just talking about education, I'm not even talking about anything else, 38 billion shillings that was meant to go to capitation did not reach schools. 38 billion did not reach schools. Nobody is asking where that money went. Nobody is asking how schools were able to survive. Nobody is asking what's going to be done to make sure that hole is filled. But we have people who still are keeping their jobs and coming to tell us 1, 2, 3. Do you think something radical? We can speak the truth until the cows come
something
home.
Radical needs to be done.
Okay, there you go.
Because we have people who have not been paid. We have people who were gracious enough to supply schools with foodstuff for an entire year, still waiting for that capitation to come, because today we have subsidized education and told the teachers, come on, look, don't charge the parents some more. We are going to meet the balance. So the teacher, with that assurance from government, goes ahead and asks Latif, can you supply me with maize and beans for the next year? And because Latif had capacity then, goes and supplies the entire school with a supply of 800,000, for instance. Here you have a teacher, he's not refusing to pay Latif. But when you look at the allocated budget allocation vis-a-vis what is in the account, there is a problem. Today, I can tell you of a school that I know that is operating with a pending bill of almost 5 million. Let me tell you, if you go to a national school like Croletos High School in Limuru, I was told by someone who worked in the account there, they consume 300,000 every day. Because it's quite we are talking about over 2,000 students in the school.
Right.
Now I want you to imagine a teacher like that getting people to supply to the school, and you do not get that capitation. And you know, you're talking about 22,000 per student times 2,000. You can imagine how much budget deficit it is going to create.
Heavy.
And therefore, the president, and I am talking with all and honesty I can command, it is not the time for the president to smile at these guys. If this country is going to take him with the seriousness we deserve, the head of state.
Do you think, Peter, that folks who are at the positions where they're supposed to be, they're the vanguards of those particular ministries? And so, yeah, education is a glaring example. Health is another example. Infrastructure, another example. The folks who've been or stand at the positions of authority in those areas, if things under their watch are going wrong, should they be asked?
They should not be asked.
The question.
You don't need to ask them.
Let me ask the.
If you're serious, you need to send them home.
This is my question.
Yes.
I'm not saying should they be asked what's going on. No, we can see what's going on. My question is, should they be fired?
Yes. Yes, they should be fired. Because let me tell you, Ratif, and if one government ministry, there is an issue, we can seclude that issue and say it is because this ministry, blah, 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 blah. But when you have a number of government ministries having issues at the same time, the only logical thing to do, it is to show people the door. It is the start, it is at that starting point that we will see that, yes, this may have gone wrong, but the president is looking to offer solution. But I can tell you for a fact, we cannot talk about the Ministry of Education last year and its problems, and talk about the Ministry of Education this year
and the same problem
with the same people in charge.
Which is why I disagree with you.
Yes.
I do not think the president needs to fire these people. I think we need to sit with the president and ask him several questions. Question number one, have the people told you the truth?
Yes.
And I think everybody has told the president the truth. And I say this because the president himself lately has even been saying, we need to live within our means. The problem that we are facing in this country is a financial problem. Okay? That is where we are. We are not able to disburse money to counties, to schools. We are not able to pay money for pensions for our pensioners. We are not able to do all these things because we have a problem with the money. We are having a conference next week to discuss public wage bill. Doctors are on strike, and the standoff here is on the amount 70,000 shillings versus 200,000 shillings for interns to go. The issue here is money. Is the president aware? I say the president is aware because he has said it. And I think now what we need to remind the president is, Mr. President, let's stop now pussyfooting around this issue. Can we sit down as a country and talk about our financial situation? This is our financial situation. The president has said, conservatively, in my opinion, that close to 70% of what we are collecting is going to pay public debt. Let's say that's an average. 70% of our revenues, ordinary revenue, is going to public debt. 47% of our ordinary revenue is going to pay salaries. There's money that should be going to development. There's money that should be going into all these other things, to finance education, to finance security, and all these other matters. We don't have the money to do it. Can we have a conversation about, so what do we do? I think that's what we need to have, a conversation. He can wake up tomorrow and fire everybody and bring in everybody fresh. The problem remains the same. Are you collecting enough? How much are you spending? Are you spending it on the right things? What can we do on the situation that we are in today? If we do not face our financial problem, because that's the biggest problem we have, And the president has said it more than once. That's why I'm saying I'm 100% confident that he's aware of the problem, that we're not going anywhere. We should stop pussyfooting around these issues. Just forget it. Can we just say, okay, he says he'd like us to raise ordinary revenue, incrementally over time. Stop only raising 2 trillion shillings, go to raise 4 trillion shillings. What's the roadmap to that? Currently, are we raising 2 trillion shillings? The 2 trillion shillings that we are raising, what are we doing with it? Because if we don't have that conversation, then we are borrowing more. We still don't have money to spend. We will not have money to send to schools for capitation. We are still dancing around with that. We will not have money to do for health. Universal health coverage as it is right now, primary health care, level 1, 2, 3 should be funded by taxpayers from the exchequer. This exchequer that cannot pay pensioners, this exchequer that is not paying severely disabled people 2,000 shillings a month, this exchequer that is not disbursing money to the elderly 2,000 shillings a month, is the same exchequer that's going to fund our primary health care. It's going to be, this is a baby, a stillborn baby. We must have a financial conversation.
I think as you're putting it is that we need to look at our spending, because if you ask me today, in the first instance, I would severely cut on capital projects and invest that money on what is primarily that must be done today.
Like affordable housing?
Affordable housing is a very serious problem in this country. We may have differences on how we approach it, but I'm looking at, for instance, health in this country. We have a problem now with doctors. Of course, that, as the Honorable Ishongwa put it, it was speaking to the architecture of our constitution. Nonetheless, the devolved functions and devolution is not something we can afford to go back and try and amend to centralize health, because the very idea of devolving health was to actually have county government come up with imaginations on how they can create health. But this is the problem, and I will invite you to go and check. We devolved health fully in 2013, and from 2013 to 2024, the budget of the Ministry of Health, instead of going down because responsibilities have been reduced to just level 6, it has gone up to a point that last year we gave the Ministry of Health 146 billion. This year we have given them 141 billion. They need to show course on how they have used the money, because clinical officers, health officers were seconded to counties, but the money to pay them was left at the national government. And therefore, I would cut on any capital project right now to actually address serious issues like health, because health is one of the... Today, if you look at your WhatsApp, probably you have like 7, 8, 10 mchangos that you need to changa, not for people to go and enjoy or to go to school, to go and get operated in India and other places. And therefore, I think, as you have put it, we need to look at our finance architecture and see whether our financing model is working. Because today, FIF financing model of health in county governments was implemented by the likes of Kabogo, and it seemed to work. But today we have gone about 15 steps back. And I think, as you have put it, the government must realize that it is very important to look at our financing model, because today, what is the architecture of our consolidated accounts? The first money we withdraw from our consolidated account, it is principal interest on loans. That is what we first pay from our consolidated account. And then we pay, second, we pay the principal amount. Number 3, we pay government pensions, and then we pay government learning government. Where does development come in?
It doesn't.
At the rest. By the time you are reaching government, there is nothing left at the consolidated account.
Instead of saying let's fire ministers, we need to sit the president down.
But also,
the president needs to answer.
I agree.
I do not want to prevaricate on this.
Yes,
issue.
but also when it comes to Ministry of
President
Education,
William Ruto's baby.
But it's also
William
important.
Ruto should address it.
Yes, but it's also important for CSS to take responsibility, because
it starts with their boss. Look, if all the CSS are not working, then
that's what I'm saying.
To work. Tell the boss.
When we are talking about how we need to deal with our financial systems, it's also important to acknowledge
not to deal with our financial systems.
Listen, I agree with you.
No.
We need to look at how we are financing, but it's also important to note that 8 billion shillings was released to the ministry.
Peter, not to look at what we are financing. We need to be honest and say, do we have money? That is what I'm saying.
And that is okay. That is okay. That is a conversation we can have.
Are we
but we
spending money on the right
we
things?
cannot also escape to the fact that money was released from Treasury to a ministry.
And what happened to it?
And what happened to it? That we cannot escape, because we are talking about, do we have money? That is a different discussion. But here we are saying we had money that left Treasury.
You came here with fake reports, and that's the bottom line. Money was not released. That is what you are hearing.
But you know, you see then you see
news time.
We have incompetence, because the minister confirmed
there was nothing.
That money was released.
So we told you here you were lied to.
No.
8 a.m. time for the news. Peter Mushendo is governor's expert,
and it will be.
It has become such a problem is because our healthcare is decaying and rotting under the hands of our county government, that our intern doctors are making a very critical point. Our doctors for long have demanded the establishment of a health services commission, Honorable Speaker. Today, while the intern doctors feel mistreated, is because they are being overworked. And therefore, the Council of Governors, Honorable Speaker, must come out and take their position, their rightful position, in ensuring that the intern doctors who work in those hospitals are not overworked.
Meanwhile, opposition politicians led by Kalonzo Musyoka are threatening to join the doctors' strike.
Management and the board for taking this direction, because otherwise you'll be seated here on cottages.
Apologies, that's not the right bite.
Why don't you have collected all the money from every Kenyan, literally bleeding the economy in order to get money. So we can only come to one conclusion, that this is an extravagant regime.
Pay your doctors, and yet you have money to give new jobs called CSs, creating offices and rewarding your cronies, and who are going to be earning more than the honorable members of parliament, and you're saying you cannot pay the doctors. This is the height of irresponsibility by any government.
Dedan Kimathi University students are to receive 180 shillings each after they voted to split 1 million shillings donated by President William Ruto in March. A public participation exercise conducted by the university saw 51% of the students demand the splitting of the cash. The remaining half was split between those in favor of a bursary proposal and a luncheon. Thika Town MP Alice Nganga and her Mandera North counterpart Bashir Sheikh are in a rush to save at least 27 constituencies facing extinction because they've low population. They want the constitution to be amended to protect the constituencies and any other that's in breach of the population threshold. Nganga argues that residents have developed attachments with the constituencies and any changes might cause tension. Police in Kisii have arrested a security guard following a robbery captured on CCTV cameras at a business premise on Sunday morning. The cameras captured armed men donned in heavy jackets breaking into the building at 2 a.m. before ransacking it for an hour. The owner says he lost valuables worth 3 million shillings. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has moved to court to the Court of Appeal to challenge a judgment of the Employment and Labour Relations Court that revoked the suspension of public officials implicated in corruption, saying it could have far-reaching implications in its fight against the vice. The Commission says allowing any of the suspended officials back to office could compromise the ongoing investigations into serious economic crimes involving the loss of billions of public funds. The National Council of Churches of Kenya wants the National Dialogue Committee on NADCO report to be subjected to public participation before it's implemented. The council says public views should be included because the report seeks to amend sections of the Constitution. It has faulted the National Assembly for unilaterally implementing the report's recommendations, urging the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee to hold forums in counties to gather public views. And finally, South Africa's former President Jacob Zuma is free to run in the country's general election in May after an electoral court overturned a ban on his candidacy over a contempt of court conviction. The court had argued that the Constitution prevented people from holding public office if convicted of a crime and sentenced to more than 12 months in prison. That's the Newswire. I am Edwin Lisamira. Good morning.
.5 SpiceFM, Kisumu.
Not so much a busy morning, and we're likely to see the same situation through today. You get into the CBD without an issue. You'll also get out of the CBD without an issue as well. So there's movement on Gong Road. We'll see at your junctions a little bit of hold up here and there, but again, not too crazy. Off the Thika Superhighway, you're fine. And coming off of Waiyaki Way, coming off of Lower Kabete, as well as Limuru Road, everything looks pretty good today. And coming through towards Kiambu Road and touching a little bit on the northern bypass, we'll get in and out of town, not a problem whatsoever. We'll talk on SpiceFM, KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latin, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down.
It's 7 minutes
this
after 8.
Is
How
the
are you doing?
Situation
Welcome
Room,
to
the only way to start your...
The Situation Room. Those who are joining us now, Eid Mubarak from wherever you are tuned in, whether you're in the country or out of the country, whether you are, it's morning for you, night for you, or afternoon for you, wherever you are. Asante sana. We are on live on Facebook, on YouTube, on X. We are also live on SpiceFM and KTN Home. And also, our clips go around and viral, and they trend on TikTok. And our next guest is from TikTok. We'll be introducing him shortly. What's the plan? The plan is what ICLN tells you. Whatever plan you have, come, let's talk. And we can engage on this plan.
Absolutely. What it is that you want to do in the future, where it's that you want to go, what are things that you want to engage in. Gone are the days whereby you wait until a particular age that you've attained and then you say, okay, well, now is what I want to do, what I want to do. You can say, actually, in the future, or even next year, next week, next month, this is what I have in mind. And you often find that you're going to have to spend a little bit of money to do that. So how about, saying, this is what I want to do, and you guys who are experts in this, how you're able to put plans together. How about we sit down and have a conversation about that? And ICA Lion says, you know what? We can actually help you bring your plan to life. Come on down, have a conversation with us. No matter where you are in your career, no matter what age you are, we can help you put your plan together. It's a plan icalion.co.ke.
There are those people who are thinking, okay, my plan is to get married later this year, have a wedding. It's okay. You can put aside money for that and you can start planning towards that. My plan is to buy a vehicle. My plan is to upgrade my car. My plan is to upgrade my house. Whatever plan you have, plan.icalion.co.ke. Go to that website or plan@icalion.co.ke. That's an email. And also you can follow them on social media platforms, ICEA Lion Kenya, including TikTok. The boss of TikTok in Africa is in the studio. Fortune Mugwile Sibanda. He's the head of public policy and government relations, TikTok Sub-Saharan Africa. Fortune, good morning.
Good morning, Eric.
Welcome to the hot seat of Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you. Talking about plans, my plans is to survive the hot seat today.
You'll be fortunate enough.
There we go.
To survive it.
Yeah.
We'll talk about TikTok and what TikTok is doing in Sub-Saharan Africa, and particularly TikTok in Kenya.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're here. You went to Parliament yesterday. You'll tell us about that as well. But our colleague Siti Muga is not in today.
Okay.
Siti usually goes to an African country, and then he brings us proverbs from that country.
Nice.
A proverb a day. And the first job of the person occupying the hot seat is to listen to the proverb and give us their interpretation of the proverb. This week the proverbs are from the Kingdom of Morocco.
Okay.
And today's proverb, the ones who fear live.
The ones who fear live. Okay, I think this one is about courage. I think is to encourage people not to fear. Face your fears head on. Don't quit, never give up. I think so. I hope so.
The live here is L-I-V-E.
Oh,
the ones who fear.
L-I-V-E. Okay,
Yes.
yeah, I've got a modern one for that. YOLO. That's a modern African. That's a modern African proverb.
Modern African proverb.
Yeah, YOLO.
You only live once.
Yeah, there you go.
Live life to
I don't know what city will think of that though, but I tried.
What do you think the Moroccans are telling us in this proverb though?
I think the importance of, they also say carpe diem, seize the moment, don't fear, go for it. If you've got plans, if you've got dreams, tackle them head on. Yeah. Then you can enjoy life.
Okay.
It's a thought?
It is.
It's a thought.
CT would have given you 5 million points. Do with them as you please.
5 million out of what? Is that like equivalent to $5 million or 5 million shillings?
It's up to you.
This is important.
What do you want it to be? It's really up to you.
Okay, all right.
Buy a house
I'll take
or a
5
horse.
million. Okay, or a horse.
Bottom line, you get top marks.
Yeah, okay, excellent. Then
Because
I love it.
as
Thank
City
you.
will tell
Thank
you,
Yeah.
you can never be wrong.
Yeah.
With your opinion.
Yeah,
It's
I like
your
that.
opinion.
I like that.
Yeah, you can never be wrong.
Cool.
It's yours.
Yeah.
Okay. So we know the other platforms and who owns the other platforms.
Yeah.
All right. And then we know TikTok.
Yeah.
And you know it as TikTok. Who's TikTok?
TikTok is, I'd say, off the bat, we are a global platform. We're present in over, I think, 170 markets across the world now. In terms of our headquarters in Singapore as well as in the US, in Los Angeles. Part of TikTok is a product and also a company. But our holding company is also is called ByteDance, which was founded by 2 tech entrepreneurs of a Chinese origin. So TikTok is one of the many products, many companies under ByteDance. Yeah.
And in terms of usage,
yeah,
of TikTok, let's just talk about Kenya, and then you can tell us in relation to Sub-Saharan Africa, and then in relation globally. How are we doing?
I think we're doing well. Unfortunately, I can't provide you specific numbers on Kenya. We don't share those details yet, but globally the number is over 1 billion users monthly come to TikTok to use our app. That's a number that we're very proud of. I mean, relative to how young we are as a platform, we take that, I'd say, as a vote of confidence. That people like what they are seeing on the platform. There's something that they can relate to. So we hope to continue to grow on those numbers.
So you can tell us about Africa. So over 1 billion globally, how many in Africa?
I don't have those numbers yet.
Why?
Well, we're not yet communicating those numbers. I think it's just a part of our...
You have the numbers, but you don't want to communicate.
Yeah. I can't say those numbers yet.
Okay.
I think yet is the important bit here.
Okay.
It's part of our growth, a part of our evolution, and we'll be able to share those when the time is right.
How does TikTok make money?
How does TikTok make money? Is TikTok even making money? Let's start there.
Fortune.
I'm telling you, I work for TikTok, okay? So I think the reason why I responded that way is because, again, the growth thing. We're still young, right? We're still growing. So as a company, but primarily, our primary method of making money is through advertising. Obviously, I think it's quite common in the tech space these days. So TikTok, that service primarily through advertising. But in markets such as Kenya, for example, we haven't even launched some of those features, right? So that's why I responded the way I did earlier.
So TikTok is ad-free in Kenya?
I'll have to cross-check that, but we haven't really launched a full advertising suite.
Proper advertising suite.
Yes, we haven't launched that in Kenya.
Based in Kenya.
Yeah, not yet. We haven't launched that in Kenya. Yeah, but part of our development and part of our growth, we hope to launch. Look, it's in our best interest that we start making money.
Okay, so why are you in Kenya now? Why were you in Parliament yesterday?
I was in Parliament yesterday because I was called. I think to address the elephant in the room, there was a petition that was tabled before Parliament, I think sometime in April 2023. I think, and then as part of the process of Parliament looking into those matters, they have been consulting with stakeholders, including ourselves. So our D-Day was yesterday. So this is why we're here, to engage with parliamentarians. But you'd remember we've always come to Kenya quite regularly. I think the last time we were here was actually December. We're part of the Jamhuri Day celebrations, but we're also launching some campaigns here in this country. So we engage quite a lot, not only with government, but also with folks such as yourselves in the media. We also engage with NGOs and academics and so on.
Okay. So folks engage on TikTok, probably characterized in new media. Not probably, it is. As new media. We're looking at media that has developed in the digital space over the last decade is still considered to be new media. And, TikTok falls squarely into that space. But it's also an interesting area because people, it doesn't matter your age demographic, people are able to then do a number of things on the platform. Share their life, share experiences, share their business, share a skill or talent or 1, 2, 3. How are all of these activities regulated then for audiences or practitioners?
Thank you, Ndu, for bringing that up. But I'm wondering, when are we going to drop the tag new media?
It's gonna.
It's the reality.
Television has been around for as long as some of us have been, and it's still recognized as new media.
I think we need to drop that though.
It moved.
I mean, it's just media.
So us guys are legacy media, and then there is.
I think it's almost like saying color television. We dropped that, right? We no longer say it's a color television. That's the point I'm trying to say. I think though, to be honest, the term I'm more comfortable with, which you used as well, is platforms. So I think that one is more encompassing because it's really a platform. That's what TikTok is about. We see ourselves primarily as an entertainment platform. So where people can come in and, be entertained or entertain people. So they can post all kind of content. They can consume all kind of content. And also there's 1 billion people that come to the platform every month. There have to be rules, obviously, to the issue of regulation. So primarily the self-regulation model is how TikTok works. We have a set of community guidelines. I always like to say when I'm speaking with people, with stakeholders, that every household has rules, right? So our rules are the community guidelines. These are the set of this. It's a common code of conduct, which guides people on what can be allowed on the platform, what can you post, what can you not post. So based off of that, we then have what we call internally trust and safety teams that then work round the clock to make sure that the content that is on the platform adheres to those community guidelines. And these community guidelines are very broad. They cover a wide range of issues. But for example, around safety, around civility, so we're talking about issues of cyberbullying and stuff like that. We're very clear that this is the kind of content that we do not allow on the platform. Dangerous acts, dangerous challenges, there's quite a broad range of these guidelines, and they are there on our website. But we are also actively going out into the communities, whether via the app itself or offline, to educate people about these community guidelines and the importance of adhering to them.
So how do you moderate the content? Do you have human beings who are constantly checking this, or do you have automated bots that constantly are looking?
It's a combination. Look, it can only work if it's a combination, due to the nature of, obviously, new media, if I may borrow that term. It's a combination of technology and human moderators. I'd say primarily the primary method of how we moderate content is through automated means. So through AI, through algo, through machine learning. I would say probably about 95% of our content that we take down for violating our community guidelines is taken down via machine learning. And then after that, we then have human beings. So human beings are important in that line because then they come in for context, right? They come in. I don't think a machine, I don't know if we've developed such technology yet for a machine to be able to see this is parody, this is humor, this is sarcasm. So human beings can then come in to spot that. Human beings can also then come in for local language. And remember, even if we're saying local language, there are nuances, right? You'll find even if someone is speaking Swahili, they could be speaking Sheng. Maybe the machine doesn't know Sheng yet. So this is where you then you need human beings who actually know how the language is being used and the context with which it's being used. Then they can come in to supplement the efforts of machine technology. But throughout that line as well, we then also have aspects. Here we're talking about aspects like law enforcement that have to look at that content, especially if it's egregious violations, especially violations around children, child abuse. This is something that we don't tolerate on the platform. This is content that is not enough to just take down. This is content that needs to be, processed further and reported so that there's a legal process that follows that. So we have these issue-specific teams that then look at that kind of content. So again, maybe content around hate speech or content around extremism. So these are the specific teams. Down the line, it's actually simultaneous. I don't want to say down the line. It's not linear. We also have fact checkers that we partner with globally. We, especially in the International Fact Checkers Network, they are part of our partners. Here in Africa, we've got AFP as well as Code for Africa. So these are the geeks who can look at content and check if this is accurate or not. Because sometimes users can post content that may be disputable, especially, let's say, during elections. Governor so-and-so stole 5 billion Kenyan shillings, and we are not the arbiters of truth. So we would then pass that on to experts who can do research around that. And then what we then do with that information is then take specific action on that piece of content. It could be to leave it on if it's true, or if it's disputed, it could be just to put a tag there that, this content is disputed, or if you want to know more about this issue, click here, then we can redirect to a website that would contain that information. So it's quite a lot in terms of the systems that we have in place to, I'd say, regulate the content, but also externally, there is the issue of laws and policies in the countries that we operate that we also have to adhere to. So that's another layer that comes in. Yeah,
multi-pronged.
Yeah, I'd say that. Yeah,
so you can say internally you have, your policies, your guidelines, your systems that are in place to do this. You have automated and human. What challenges do you face on that? This is a constantly evolving environment. Definitely,
I think. Look, we are the first people to admit that the system is not perfect. Despite our best intentions, if you're dealing with human beings, especially if it's user-generated content, you don't know what the next person is gonna say or is gonna do, right? Take for example the case of the people doing challenges, right? Yep. I quite like the fact that challenges these days that we're seeing are cool, they are vibey, they are hippie, they are quirky, and people are participating in them. But at times you can have people just starting a challenge and you wonder, what's the thinking? Not just on TikTok, but generally online. I don't know if you guys remember the crates challenge, where people decide to stack up crates and walk over them. Why? That kind of thing. Why not? Okay. those who fear do not live. I guess. But it's dangerous. So that's why we will have policies guiding against that. You get up on those crates and then you break your back. Right. Then we that's why we have specific community guidelines around dangerous challenges. So obviously, despite our best interest or intentions, the system is not perfect. There's still some content that is going to slip through. And I think the important thing there is, as a service, as a product, what are we learning from it? What are some of the extra measures that we're putting in to try as much as possible to minimize or to mitigate the impact of that bad content that slips through the system? One of those ways is through partnerships, obviously. We always talk about users reporting content. It's super, super important to report content that you feel is violating the community guidelines. Sure. Go on.
How do you ensure that folks who are now doing the entertaining, right? Because that's what you said. Yes. There are those who entertain and those who come to be entertained. How do you ensure that those who do the entertaining are not just aware, but that understand what the guidelines are? And I ask that question because many a time we've heard folks complain and they say, well, my video was pulled down because of 1, 2, 3. I don't understand why. Or then I was flagged. I think my account was flagged or my account was taken down. And I don't really get it. If I watch it, I can't see anything that's really wrong with that. Is there an understanding from end to end about what is allowed, what could actually be a flag, and then how you must then be careful? Because one would complain about that, but then watch something else which is utterly preposterous, but it's still left there. What guides that? And then is there that complete comprehension of what those guidelines are?
Yeah, I definitely would be lying to you if I said complete comprehension. I think we can always do more on this. This is an area that we need to focus on. But what we have begun to do, especially in Kenya, we have a team that is actually working to support creators and guide them on. So first, instead of the workshops that we hold with these creators, there are capacity building workshops. We want to help them create better quality content because we want them to export their skills, their talent, not just to be huge in Kenya, but to be global. The likes of Elsa Majimbo, the likes of Dennis Ombachi. We want to see more people coming out like that to appeal to global audiences. And we make it clear to them as we're doing that you are not going to make it huge if your content is violating community guidelines. So we educate the creators on the importance of that. But also we tell them that if you are going to create content that is potentially of mature themes, it's not going to be recommended on people's feeds. It's only those people that follow you, that search for you, that are going to see your content. Because we don't want to push this in people's faces. So I think there's a lot of education that still needs to be done. of the creator community itself, of the user community itself, and we do this through a variety of ways. In the app itself, we've got what we call content warnings or content labels. So, for example, if you post something as a creator or you're commenting on someone's content, something comes up and say, "Are you sure you want to post this?" So that gives you a bit of time to really think about what you want to do. So that for us as an entertainment platform, we want to make it welcoming for everyone. We don't want to make it a platform that is shocking. That, shock value, shock therapy, whatever that is. We want something that appeals to, a broad spectrum of people. And I always like to say we have an ambition to be the last sunny corner of the internet. A place where, maybe at the end of the day or when you're starting your day, get onto TikTok, see a few videos, have fun, and then proceed with your day. Yeah.
Let's take a break and continue the conversation shortly. 29 minutes after 8. Fortune Mugwili-Sibanda is the head of public policy and government relations for TikTok in sub-Saharan Africa. He's here. We are talking about those concerns that have been raised by government, by users, by other people on content moderation on TikTok, but also content creators themselves and what they say that they would like to get from TikTok in terms of capacity, in terms of how they can monetize their content, how they can use TikTok to be a money-making platform for them. He'll tell us all about that. We'll be back shortly. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Embark on an unforgettable journey through the heart of Africa at the Festac Africa Festival 2024, destination Kisumu. Join us from May 20th to 26th for Africa's celebration of global culture, fashion, music, dance, and more. Immerse yourself in a week-long extravaganza featuring professionals from across the continent as we explore the theme of sustainable growth trajectory for Africa through culture, trade, travel, and tourism. Don't miss
Sunny
this
conditions in
opportunity.
Nairobi, 18 degrees. We'll see highs of 27 and 26 will be the high in sunny Nakuru at 16. It's 19 and cloudy in Nyeri with highs of 27 and sunny at 16 in Eldoret. We'll see highs of 25 and lows of 14. Mombasa is sunny at 29, going to highs of 34, and we'll see highs of 33 in a sunny Malindi at 30. Kisumu sunny at 23, we'll go to highs of 29, and at 21 in Kakamega, we'll see highs of 29 as well. It's cloudy at 21 in Kampala with highs of 28, and into Dar es Salaam sunny at 25 with highs of 32. 9 degrees and sunny in Johannesburg with highs of 20, and into Mogadishu at 30 it is sunny. We'll see highs of 33. It's raining in Addis Ababa at 16 with highs of 23. Lagos is clear at 28, going to highs of 35, and at 24 Kinshasa is sunny, going to highs of 33.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Right, 94.4 Spice FM.
Issue today. Most folks listening to me from somewhere else and not on the streets. A little bit of movement coming in from the city, and that's just as you come onto Huru Highway out from Chiromo. But that's not going to last long. It's not going to be anything crazy today. You're coming in from all parts of the city. Kangunda Road, folks going in and out, and then coming off of Thika Superhighway, as well as coming in through Westlands. But like we said, it's moving. You not have any holdups. Not for now, not for today, but we're going to keep an eye on things all the same. Let's talk on SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4.
We, the head of public policy and government relations, TikTok Sub-Saharan Africa, Fortune Mugwili-Sibanda. Are there users that you bar from your platform? content creators that you bar from your platform? I'm asking this in relation to, of course, I'm sure you saw it. Our Cabinet Secretary for Interior appeared before Parliament a couple of weeks ago, and he was asked the question, are there government officers who should not be active users or even content creators on TikTok? And the Cabinet Secretary said, yes, in fact, we are considering this because social media could be a potential security threat. I didn't get the gist of where this question was heading or what he was saying, but then that maybe raises the issue of maybe there are governments that are telling you, so-and-so is a government officer, please regulate and moderate the content that they post here or how they access your platform.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I think first of all, as part of the community guidelines that I mentioned earlier, we've got principles, and one of those principles is free expression. We encourage our users to freely express themselves. But as we know, obviously, freedom of expression has got limitations. So, for example, you're free to say whatever you want to say, but you cannot say something that then infringes on someone's rights. So that means that if you are a government official or a journalist or whatever you are, you want to get on the platform, you can go ahead and do that. It's really up to you. The trick now is if you are going to then upload content that violates our community guidelines, then we take appropriate action. And part of that action is not just taking down that specific video. We can come to instances where we ban accounts. So these would be repeat violators, repeat offenders, where we see that this person's intention is maybe to spread harmful misinformation that is not good for the public. So it's not enough just to be taking down that one video. We would then suspend your access to the platform. So that is what we would do. Then on the government side of things, I cannot comment on behalf of what Prof. Kindiki said, but to say that we welcome engagements with government so that we can clarify how the platform works, and if there are any gaps that government is seeing, if there are any issues or concerns that government is seeing, we can work together to see how we can address that.
But when you see the trajectory that this one is likely to take, government comes and says potential national security threat.
Yes.
The need for government intelligence to be involved in this so that then we can avert threats to national security, which means the need for national intelligence agencies to also be co-opted by the platform as moderators of content, which means that government is watching. You see where I'm going? How do you safeguard against Big Brother basically just coming onto your platform and saying, you know what, we need NIS people to be the moderators of content?
That is a scary prospect. That is a very scary prospect. But listen, not just specific to Kenya, but globally, we are an independent platform. We are not aligned with government. We wouldn't allow government to be the ones moderating our platform. To the point I made about freedom of expression, you are free to express yourself on the platform. We wouldn't let in third-party agents to come in and decide what you can say or what you cannot say. Definitely, that's not something that I'm not even worried. Is that potentially going in that direction in Kenya, a constitutional democracy? So yeah, I definitely.
So how do you vet your moderators? How do you know that you don't have government intelligence people as your moderators?
I wouldn't know how we vet. I wouldn't know how exactly we vet. I mean, how do you know some of the people in your newsrooms are not NIS people?
I don't know. I don't know TikTok.
No, but listen, it's a serious issue that you're raising, but it's not something that is, I don't want to scare our users or scare Kenyans. That is definitely something that's not how we work. We have a professional group of trust and safety teams globally around the world, 40,000 plus and counting, that work around the clock to keep the platform safe. If anyone wants to, collect information, they can do so. You can go online and check what this person is posting. It's really, you don't need to to do James Bond type stuff to see what people are posting. They're posting publicly anyway. So yeah.
So then issues of, what happens when those of again, we're going back to the age demographic. Those of a younger age demographic then are accessing platforms and the things that they see. Look, there was a time, and I'm not even sure if it still goes on, but there was a time where that folks would then be able to go live, on their platform and do all manner of things. And then it became, it was public outcry, and there was, okay, so what is happening to be able to regulate what you can or cannot do when you then go live? Because, everybody was shouting and making noise and say, oh no, we cannot have our children watching this kind of thing. We can't have that. So then it goes back to the question of how then do you regulate what are we calling these individuals? Creators. Yeah. How then do you regulate what creators are putting out there? Because whether we like it or not, it is being consumed by a wide range of an audience in terms of age and in terms of those mature or not. How do you regulate that? Especially from that particular place. And again, there was uproar about what happens when folks go live after a certain time and what they were actually doing. But for some reason was still allowed.
It actually,
whereby, if I can just be very frank, Fortune, there was a lot of stuff. There was nudity, and then there was, a lot of sexual innuendo and things like this. And the question was, all right, okay, for some people that's your cup of tea, fine. But for others, folks are saying, well, we've got a younger demographic to protect. It's exposing others to a potential danger that they're not ready for. How do we deal with those?
Yeah, so first thing I want to say is that is definitely not allowed on the platform. That goes against our community guidelines. We've got community guidelines specifically that deal with what we call adult nudity and sexual activities, right? But remember I said earlier that there are occasions when some of that bad content is going to slip through the system. Again, the important thing is how do we react?
Right.
How do we make sure that doesn't happen again? And I'm happy to report that since that time, we have invested quite a lot in terms of improving our moderation capabilities, specifically for that kind of content. And as you may know, that kind of content, we don't see it now. The violation rates have drastically dropped. So we learned a lesson there to tighten up, at least that part of TikTok that was live, in terms of making sure that kind of content does not make it to the platform. It's not in our interest as a brand. It's not something that we want to see there. It's not something that we want our users to be seeing. Now to the first part of your question is around the younger users. The one thing especially that we are emphasizing as we are doing workshops is that TikTok is a 13 plus app, right? If you're under the age of 13, you shouldn't be on TikTok. So yes, I know. I can see the look on your face. I can see. You know what? I know. I'm telling you, if you're under the age of 13, you should not be on the platform. Because, as you're saying, you may end up being exposed to content that is not age appropriate. This could be maybe a news report of a car accident, right? It could be, some content that may shock you. So that's why we're saying parents or those that are guardians of minors should not allow them to be on the platform if they're under the age of 13. And then between 13 and 18, you are still a minor. Right? Maybe 17, 18, you can even start to think you're a young adult, but you are still a minor. So what we then do is that we've got technology in the kind of TikTok that you access as a minor is sort of different. There are some features that we've limited of you. So, for example, you cannot go on live if you're under, 15 or 16. You cannot participate in live gifting. Your videos cannot be downloaded. Also, under the age of 16, you cannot use the DM feature, or people cannot DM you. Or your account is not discoverable. Your account is also not recommended to users. So this is that extra layer that we're adding to minor users to protect them, is for their safety. And then we always encourage parents, especially guardians. This campaign that we're doing called Safer Together in the counties is to make sure that they check they take your kid's phone, go to their app and check what's their birth date, what they put there, because that is super important. If someone is 17 or is 16, but they put their date to back then, making them 27, it means that they can access some of those features that they shouldn't be accessing. So it's a one simple trick, but it makes a world of difference in terms of, exposing those younger users to that kind of content should it make it to the platform. So we always try to, we are innovating from a platform perspective, but we are quite aware there's still a lot that needs to be done in terms of awareness raising, also in terms of educating the general public. So that's an area of investment that we want to continue to focus on in Kenya and some African markets.
How are you doing that? Take us through the Safer Together campaign.
Yeah, Safer Together is, so we have launched it in various iterations in Nigeria, in South Africa, and recently in Kenya. By recently, I mean October last year. Is a series of offline hybrid workshops. That's the term people use these days, where we're going into the communities. We're using primarily a training of trainers model because we want it to scale. So, for example, right now our local partner in Kenya is Ivminet Communications Solutions. What they do is, let's say they've partnered with the Kenya Scouts Association. They train them on our community guidelines, the issue that Ndu mentioned earlier about comprehension. Do people understand that you cannot post this? Do people understand that if something is posted which you think is violating our guidelines, how do you report it? And so on. So we take them through this curriculum and empower them with this knowledge, and then they go on to their communities to train those under their care. So we're doing that also for teachers. We're doing that for parents, because parents are scared of phones.
Yeah.
Parents are scared of phones, and understandably so. It's still a new phenomenon, especially platforms like TikTok. But we want to give them that information so that they can be able to have healthy conversations about safety with those under their care. We've got an awesome tool called Family Pairing. This is a tool that we need to talk more about. It's an innovation. It allows you as a parent to pair your TikTok account with that of your child. You can be able to set screen time limits. So right now, as you're at work, you have already set a screen time limit for your child. You can limit the accounts that they see. You can limit their friends, people that want to befriend them and so on. You can have control. Even as you are aware you're busy at work or something like that. And so these are some of the things that we need to educate our users about. And we're also doing it within the app itself, through pop-ups or through, throughout the year. Let's say this month in October, we focus on mental health. We do campaigns with our creators, talking to people about wellness, talking to people about screen addiction and all of those things. So really quite a lot that is going on, but a lot more still needs to be done.
Do you find that all of these things then are absolutely necessary in today's world? If you're going to have a platform such as this, the things that you've mentioned, limiting screen time, being very careful about what you do post, do you think that it has become almost essential, necessary in today's world that, yes, you can have a platform, maybe, a few years ago, have a platform, get everybody to do whatever they want. But then now it's like, you can't have a steak without the potatoes and vegetables kind of thing, right? These essentials then are necessary to go along with this practicing platform?
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely, it's essential. I don't think it's enough to just invent a service like that and just say leave it to people figure out. I mean, look at cars, right? When they came into the market, you have to go through driving lessons so that you can protect not only yourself but other users on the road, right? So this is part of it. We have to help people navigate these things. As you said earlier, it's still relatively new, so people need to know. So a simple thing like one of the campaign mottos for Safer Together, when you post online, you're posting to the world. right? This drives home the point that it's no longer just like having a conversation at home with your friend.
Yeah.
Potentially, the rest of the world can access this. So think before you post. So I think it's absolutely essential to do digital literacy campaigns so that people can know. The other side of digital literacy campaigns, especially when it comes to the older users, to parents especially, who regard this technology as new, is also around, it's not necessarily everything that you see there is the gospel truth.
Yeah.
It could be just your opinion, so take things with a pinch of salt, as you do in the real world. Just because you saw a text message saying you've won 5 million Kenyan shillings in a competition you did not enter, you don't have to now jump and, resign from your job and say you now have money.
Start planning to spend.
Start planning to spend it, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Someone is asking a question, and just bringing it back to, so TikTok is for 13 and above.
Yeah.
Like you said, 13 to 18 are still minors. So what measures have you put in place to verify the age of the people who are joining TikTok?
Yeah. So the first one is a neutral age gating system when you're signing up to the platform. Where we're asking you your name, your details and stuff. We also have to enter your age, your birth date, your complete birth date. And then if you are under the age, we are not going to allow you to then open the account. But post that system, we also have, as part of our moderation, we can also analyze to a certain point of accuracy that potentially this account is being run by a minor who may be pretending to be 5 years or 10 years older than they actually are. And we also publish, we have what we call a transparency report that we publish every 3 months. We also publish the accounts that we've taken down or the accounts that we've banned for suspicion that they're actually minor accounts pretending to be adults. So that's from a technology perspective. And I always say, technology alone on its own is not enough. Right? You can have family pairing, you can have age gating and so on, but I think conversations between parents, between teachers, between kids, between users are very important. So digital literacy is also another layer that we're adding onto that to make sure that, listen, we're not just restricting you for restriction's sake, it's actually also for your protection. And also for parents, that it is not enough to buy a phone, a nice cool phone, and you put airtime there and you just leave your child to go. I always say, look, the phones is the digital playground, right? Like the real life playground. You don't go drop off your kid in the playground at 6 in the morning and come to pick them up at 6 in the evening. You always want to keep an eye on how they're interacting or playing with other kids. Do the same when it comes to the digital playground.
Sure.
Yeah.
Safer Together, you say you are creating more awareness across the users of different demographics on what's available on TikTok, how to engage on TikTok, and so on and so forth. Is there any motivation? Like, is there any reward system? Once somebody has gone through training, do they get any sort of certification? Do they get a badge? Does the algorithm then reward them by spreading their content to to wider audiences?
I think for creators is your content is then recommendable. And the power of TikTok is through the recommendation algorithm, right? So for you, if you're serious about your craft, if you're a content creator, if you are creating high quality content that meets our standards, that meets our community guidelines, is easily recommendable. So it's very easy for your content now to pop. If you are doing content, let's say around football, and you're a long-suffering Arsenal fan like myself, at least, I know. Yeah. I'm sorry I brought this up.
We are on the cusp of victory.
I know. Yeah. So if you want to reach out similar-minded fans or communities or users, produce high-quality, clean content.
Okay.
If your content is bad, it's got swear words and so on and so forth, it's not going to be easily recommendable or discoverable.
So that's one area.
Yeah.
Good quality content.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about now another area where I've actively participated in going through training by TikTok whether you've provided training online or whether you're adding me into a community where I'm going through training and I'm sitting through some tests. Once I get a test, I get a certain badge, then it also elevates me in the hierarchy of content creators on TikTok.
I don't think we have that system as yet, at least for content creators, but it's something that we're willing to look into.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do people make money on TikTok?
How do people make money on TikTok? So the first thing that we, obviously, the monetization aspect is, for example, the advertising suite that I mentioned earlier, which is not yet launched in Kenya, would be the primary way. We also have live gifting, which is a huge way of making money, where we have creators, they say specific time during the day to interact with their community of users, and then people can give you gifts based on the interactions that are going on there. That's one of the ways. But what the other ways that we do, especially in markets like Kenya, where we haven't launched our full suite of monetization features, is to build creators and pair them with brands, right? As I said earlier, being a platform, we are saying, you've got a talent, you want to show it to the world. We've got the technology that can help you, showcase this talent to the world. So then what we do, we take those creators that are promising to build them up from 10,000 followers to 1 million followers, that kind of thing. And we also would teach you, for example, what are the best times to post? How do you engage with your audiences now that you've put a video, and how many times to post a day? Best practice from what we see. If you are, for example, a person who talks about maybe financial literacy, maybe Friday evening is not the best time to post your wise words. That kind of thing.
Spend your money wisely.
Spend your money wisely. Yes, that's also relevant. But then we would then give you those sort of tips of how to engage, how many times to post, and how to interact, or like create a simple thing like when you create content, always have a call to action. Ask your users what they think, your followers what they think, or where they are joining from. What's your content? I'm making maybe a nice curry. What ingredients do you use so that people can come in and engage and so on. So we try to build creators, this is what we're doing, and then pair them with brands. But also as a company, we do paid campaigns with these creators. So we say, okay, in the month of, let's say the recently ended last year, COP27, we're doing quite a lot of content around climate change and all of those issues. We know you've got a good, solid following. Here are the messages we want to spread around protecting the environment and climate change. Can you please say this to your users, to your followers, and we're going to pay you this. So these are some of the ways that we are trying to build the creative economy in Kenya.
So there's no monetization platform in Kenya yet, right? But then Kenyan content creators are being consumed globally. Say, Dennis Ombachi, 2.3 million followers on TikTok. 30.3 million likes on TikTok on his content. His content is being consumed by people outside of this planet. Not planet. Continent. When the content is consumed elsewhere, is he able to monetize it? Should he be able to monetize it? And then how does a Kenyan who's producing content for the world take advantage of this global platform of 1 billion potential viewers?
I should think that when we are talking monetization is about your country of origin. Like this is where, if it's launched in this market, this is where you would have access to that. But I might need to get back to you on that. I don't want to say something that's not accurate. But again, as we are talking about people like Dennis Ombachi, I think, to be honest, the bigger value, I don't want to speak for him, the bigger value is him now being a brand. Do you get what I'm saying? He's a brand because primarily of his content. So then you're going to find that other bigger brands want to be part of his success. And I think that's where it unlocks these opportunities for him. Look at the music scene, for example. I think in South Africa now we've got 2 Grammy Award winning artists who are really TikTok musicians, so to speak. We took from here through our music team, built them up, put them to Grammy, put them to global audiences.
Yeah.
Tyler recently won a Grammy.
Yeah.
So she's now a brand. So we may say maybe monetization is not launched in South Africa or whatever it is, but Tyler is now much bigger than those discussions. So this is what we are trying to do. We've actually got an ops team that works with creators in building them to be global brands, not just a national brand, but to be a global brand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's conclude the conversation, and I want to send a message to the many people who do not understand TikTok.
Yeah.
But they just hear about TikTok. And what they've heard about TikTok is the negative side of TikTok. Oh, they spawn in TikTok at night. Speak to them.
Yeah.
Because those conversations have ended up in Parliament with a petition to ban TikTok in Kenya. What do you say?
TikTok is primarily an entertainment platform. That kind of content that you referred to is not allowed on the platform. Definitely pornography is not allowed on the platform. And whenever we come across it, we take it down and we take the appropriate action. We want TikTok to remain the last sunny corner of the internet, where people can have fun. Come to TikTok, have fun, enjoy yourselves, and go on with your life.
Okay. Thank you very much. And you should follow SpiceFM KE on TikTok.
Thank you.
We're
Oh yeah.
big
Oh
there.
yeah.
Okay?
Awesome.
Yeah. We're very big there as well. All this content that we have every day on the Situation Room is also posted on TikTok, as well as the other social media platforms, plus content from Sugar and Spice with Yolanda and DJ Absolute, content on Spice Drive with Edward Quach. All of it, you'll find it on TikTok. And now that the boss has been here, he's going to talk to the algorithm guys too. But okay, I know you can do that. Fortune Mugwili Sibanda is the head of public policy and government relations for TikTok in sub-Saharan Africa. He's been our guest. We've been talking about moderating content on this platform and how then users can also take advantage of this platform to grow their viewership. Keep it here for more conversations. It's 9 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning. This is the Newswire. I am Adrian Lisamira. Over 1,200 people have died in road accidents in the past 3 months, according to the National Transport Safety Authority. Pedestrians account for the largest number of fatalities at 445, followed by motorcyclists at 285 and passengers at 259. The deaths are an increase of 5.8% during the same period last year. They, however, have increased following the latest accidents this week on the Kericho-Nakuru and Nakuru-Eldoret highways, where 15 people died. A woman who was allegedly swindled more than 3 million shillings by 23 Kenya Defence Forces soldiers has moved to the Small Claims Court in Nakuru to try to recover the money. Ruth Wairimu claims to have lent the money to the soldiers who were her customers at a nightclub in Gilgil. She says the officers came to her seeking loans to cover funeral expenses, school fees and business projects. She took their identity cards as security. Health PS Mary Muthoni has pleaded with the medical interns to accept the 2.4 billion shillings offer from the government for their deployment and posting. Muthoni says the allocation risks being taken back to the Treasury in June in case the doctors' union fails to accept it. She is insisting that the government is committed to ending the stalemate to bring back normal service delivery in hospitals. The Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition has claimed that over 500 patients have died as a result of the ongoing doctor strike. The coalition has called for the immediate resignation of Health Cabinet Secretary Susan Nakhumicha for what they say is gross incompetency. But Kikuyu MP Kimani Ichung'wah has blamed county governments for the medical crisis, saying they've been overworking intern doctors.
Why it has become such a problem is because our healthcare is decaying and rotting under the hands of our county government. That our intern doctors are making a very critical point. Our doctors for long have demanded the establishment of a Health Services Commission, Honorable Speaker. Today, while the intern doctors feel mistreated is because they are being overworked. And therefore, the Council of Governors, Honorable Speaker, must come out and take their position, their rightful position in ensuring that the intern doctors who work in those hospitals are not overworked.
A section of Malindi politicians have decried rampant drug abuse in the region, saying they are going to prepare a report to highlight the scale of the problem and present it to authorities. Mohamed Abanur is one of them.
Mihadarati, drugs, hii hard drugs hapa kwetu Shela, Malindi. Serikali haijafanya kazi yake kabisa nasema. Vijana bado wanauza mihadarati. Vijana wengine mpaka wanaingilia katika hizi mambo ya kujatu mapanga na nini. Hizo drugs, kuna hizi tembe ambao wanatumia. Na hawa askari wanajua nani ambao anauza pale. Sisi tu katika kutengeza ile data yetu ya wale ambao wanauza mihadarati. Na tukimaliza hiyo data tutaipresent kwa DCC.
Thika Town MP Alice Nganga and her Mandera North counterpart Bashir Sheikh are in a rush to save at least 27 constituencies facing extinction because they've lost population. They want the constitution to be amended to protect the constituencies and any other that's in breach of the population threshold. Nganga argues that residents have developed attachments with the constituencies and any changes might cause tension. Police in Lamu County are continuing to investigate a suspected terrorist attack in which gunmen killed 2 people and set 2 vehicles on fire in Milhoi yesterday. Eyewitnesses say the militants waylaid a vehicle transporting liquor from Mombasa to Lamu, forcing the driver and his colleague out before killing them. Police arrived at the scene and a fierce gun battle ensued for about an hour before the militants fled into the adjacent forest. And finally, US President Joe Biden says he believes that Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is making a mistake in his handling of Gaza. President Biden says Gaza should have total access to all food and medicine for the next 6 to 8 weeks. That's the Newswire. I'm Edwin Lisamira.
Spice FM.
Today we're not going to see too much of anything, really, unless, very light traffic in most areas. Much faster than usual is what we're being told today. And truly, you can see as you come off of any of your major roads today, you'll find that nothing's happening. Of course, because of the holiday. Watch out for tomorrow because they come back with full vengeance, dumping everywhere. Well, maybe not, but we'll wait and see. So for now, I think we should be able to get through without an issue. Let's talk. Either way, SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room.
9. So are you following us on TikTok? You should, okay? At SpiceFM KE. That's our account on TikTok, and we're doing well. Our numbers are rising. Close to 200,000 followers so far. More than 1 million likes. Yeah. Our content constantly gets onto TikTok. Sasawa. What's your plan? I see a lion says, whatever the plan, Kuja, let's talk. Let's help you actualize that plan. How do they do that?
come and let us reason together, essentially, is what they're telling you to do.
Says ICA Lion.
Says ICA Lion. Right. So what it is that you want to plan in the future, these are the guys who will say, okay, look, this is what you want, this is where you want to go, and this is how we can advise you to be able to get it. So it's a partner that's going to hold your hand and walk you through essentially what your plan is. And of course, we know that it leans on the financial, yes. So however little you have, however much you have, however grand your plans are, or however small they are, ICA Line will be able to package that for you properly, and you can walk hand in hand to make sure that your plan actually becomes a reality. So you can actually go onto the website www.planICALion.co.ke, or go down to the office and have a conversation with them, pick up the phone call, and somebody will be there to say, all right, let's do it, let's talk and make it happen.
Ongelesha hao, they are willing to listen. Now, there's a big story here in the Standard today. Pain of patients left on their own as doctors stand their ground. And there's a photo there of medics who were demonstrating yesterday. They went to Afia House. They also went to Parliament. One of the people in the photo is the Secretary General of the KMPDU, Dr. Davji Atela. The other one is our guest for the next hour, the National Chairman of the Union of Clinical Officers, Peterson Washira. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm very well.
You are very well.
Yes, and
many Kenyans are not
personally,
very well.
And thanks a lot for inviting me here. Again, I must say that it's always a pleasure and a privilege, because this is one of the places, this is the real bunge ya mwananchi. This is where civic education happens. It is the place where Kenyans get to understand more. And I also want to wish my Muslim brothers and sisters Eid Mubarak.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
City is away. City has told me that the proverbs for this week are from the Kingdom of Morocco. Listen to today's proverb, Peterson. The ones who fear live. Live, L-I-V-E, not leave. The ones who fear live.
You know where I come from in the union, the ones who fear leave, but the leave is for the other one, L-E-A-V-E. But I think what it means, it is similar to a saying in my local dialect, Kaguayaka ino kagiranyina, which basically means
I told you that's a Moroccan dialect.
That's what you said before. Okay. Kago what?
Tell him.
Kaguayaka ino kagiranyina.
Sawa.
It basically means that sometimes wisdom is in fearing and pulling back, probably. And sometimes you need to have the courage to show that you fear. Sometimes people fear to show that they fear.
Yeah.
Yes, and sometimes it saves.
True.
I think that is what it means. But where I come from, fear is not allowed. Yes.
It's not allowed.
It's not allowed.
Basically, actually, even in that dialect, probably what they were saying is, because direct translation is the coward goes back to his mother. Right?
Yeah.
So if you're a coward and maybe you've gone to battle with a group of the other warriors, you've gone to battle, you're a coward, you'll go back to your mother's house. The others have gone to battle.
Yeah.
They will come back with livestock that they've stolen from the other side. They'll start their life. They will not be going back to their mother's hut. You see that? Yeah, so it's actually now saying, no, do not be.
Do not be afraid.
On the other side, it can also mean that actually the aggressive and the courageous will be in the front line, and they are likely to die.
They'll die in battle.
But the one who is fearful and takes a back seat is probably might go back to their mother. So it can mean either way.
Sure.
Can be either of the two. Peterson, the clinical officers joined the doctor strike.
No, we did not join the doctor strike.
What happened?
We went on strike, and today we are doing 10th day of strike. And, we came together as the Health Union Caucus, where I chair, and we did a petition on 4th of March, jointly, as all the unions in the health sector. We wrote to the Ministry of Health, to the Council of Governors, to the Treasury, to the Office of the President, everybody who matters. And we said, look, the issue is here. And we are giving you 14 days to resolve these issues, or at least give us a pathway that will lead us to resolution of these issues. But 14 days then, They didn't do anything. The doctors started their strike. We said as clinical officers, and we actually said publicly that please do not force us into a strike. We don't want to go on a strike. So the doctors started, and we said let's give them another 1 week. So we actually gave the government 1 week.
An extension to the notice.
And we announced publicly. Then after the 14 days, after the 7 days, which is now 14 days from the date we submitted our petition, they didn't do anything. And now we gave a strike notice for 7 days. So we actually started this journey together. As all the healthcare workers. It's only that probably the notices we gave at different times, but we all had different issues. And when it comes to us as clinical officers, our strike is protected. Have you seen any order from court? I know some governors who have went to court. Mudhomi Njoki from Tharaka-Nithi, who is the chair of the health committee, went to court. He was denied orders to get us back to work, and he withdrew the case yesterday. Because the governors are actually in contempt of court. There is an order that directed them to come to the table and conclude the matter in a case where they had sued us themselves. But now they defied. And I'm wondering, I saw yesterday the CS for Interior is now banning demonstrations for KMPDU, like it's a proscribed sect. And I'm wondering, so what should we do to the governors? Do we also ban them from performing their duties now that they're also in contempt? Why does the law apply on one side and not on the other?
Let's look at the intrigues of what this particular case that the clinical officers are then bringing forward. What are the issues that are contentious now that then there is a contempt of court issue at hand?
We have, in our demands, we have 10 issues.
Okay.
Number one, and by the way, we have no new demand.
Okay, same as they were before.
We have no new demand.
All right.
The enhancement of the risk allowance that we're asking for is not something that we are demanding that now we want them to give us. It is something we agreed. We have an agreement from the first day of January 2021 when people were celebrating the new year. Myself and my team, we were with CS Kagwe in the office, concluding that negotiation, and that negotiation was conducted under an interministerial committee that was actually put together by the president during the COVID-19 when we went on strike, because we didn't have the protective gear. So we are basically saying, we agreed, why haven't you been implementing? Can you implement? The second item is the collective bargaining agreement. We started from 2019. We have gone through the whole legal framework and the structure that provides for what should be done. Until the point now you can go on a protected strike. We negotiated, we ran into a dispute. We reported to the Ministry of Labour. A conciliation team of 3 people was put together. The conciliation failed. Why? The governors refused to come to conciliation. Then we went on strike, and they took us to court. They were given orders, we were told to go back to work. We agreed and went back to court. But then the same court told them, can you go and sit with these people? And they defied. And that is why we are on strike, because we have not been able to conclude the CBA. But it's good that for the Ministry of Health, they actually complied. And we have been negotiating with a team headed by the PS, Mudhomi, the PS for Public Health and Professional Standards. And we're almost at the tail end of concluding that CBA. The other thing is about career progression guidelines. This was in the agreement of 2017. But then the Public Service Commission decided we will no longer approve schemes of service. Now we want to shift to career progression guidelines. They refused to approve. So since 2018, we haven't had an updated scheme of service.
What does that mean?
Why?
A scheme of service provides for the grading and how you climb the ladder of
how
the
you
profession.
Get promoted.
Yes.
How you get promoted.
How you get promoted.
Okay.
And with the experience, and as you gain qualifications, as you become more qualified in terms of skill sets. So now we decided, why don't we then comply? Because we went up to the Senate. Senate gave PSC 2 weeks and they still defied. So we said now that they don't seem to listen to anybody, let us just convert our scheme into career progression guidelines. We did that early last year. But then it has been lying there, pull and push. Sometimes you are told, no, we need to sit and you explain to us. Then another team comes and tells you, no, you know, we are new. We need to go to Naivasha and you tell us one or two. And so that is another issue.
So are you saying that in this period, no clinical officer has been promoted?
They were being promoted using a scheme of service of 2014.
Okay.
But we were supposed to have a scheme of service of 2020, which actually should have been utilized because the Ministry of Public Service had directed that you can actually utilize that, but the counties refused.
Okay.
Okay.
Another issue?
So another issue is the universal healthcare contract. You know, myself, I'm a beneficiary. The work that I do for the ministry, I got it because of the fight for Ebola in West Africa. Where I led a contingent of Kenyans. And when we came back, the president appreciated and said, those who are not civil servants, give them jobs. We were appreciated. Now, when we have a team of universal healthcare staff, the COVID-19 emergency response program staff, and the others who are employed during that time, why can't we appreciate our own? Why can't they be accorded the same appreciation that we were accorded? These guys are running half pay. They're being paid half of what their peers on PNP are being paid. They're probably even doing more. We are working together in the same rota, the same hours. You have the same qualification. Some of them actually succumbed to COVID-19. And you know, the other day I heard one of the governors saying that, but we did them a favor, we gave them a contract, and now it ended, they should go home. And I think that is the contempt of the highest order. We must create a tradition in this country to reward, and especially those people who put themselves forth with courage, especially at times when nobody else can actually be able to go out. Because the opposite of that then would mean that when we get into that scenario again, that situation again, who will be willing to come out if then you're going to be treated with contempt later after you have sacrificed yourself? So that's about the UHC and basically the contracts. We are saying we should not actually have contracts in the public service. And you know, the problem with the universal health coverage and the issue surrounding it is again the governors. The Ministry of Health has said we have a budget to put them on PNP. We only have a small shortage which probably the Treasury can be able to help us with. But then the Council of Governors keeps insisting that there was a decision of summit for them to do 3 years. And they should complete another 3 years, which would make it 6 years. Before now they can be absorbed on permanent and pensionable establishment. And we're asking, if people are working for your people under the counties, why would you really want somebody to continue on half pay? They are disadvantaged. As I get an annual increment every year as a civil servant. I get promoted. They cannot for 6 years. Their peers who they probably entered together into the civil service 6 years ago or 4 years ago, they have been promoted twice because you enter after 1 year, you go into the next job group. After 3 years, you go into the next job group. So if somebody entered at K, by the time these guys are done with their contracts and then they are going to be on PNP, that person is going to be where? At M.
Yeah.
So they are disadvantaged. And that is why we are saying that this is an issue that can no longer wait. The other issue is about the Kirinyaga, where the governor and the county public service board decided to dismiss everybody because they went on strike. But then the public service commission, which is mandated by law, because the law says, the county government act says that if you are aggrieved by a decision of the county public service board, you appeal to the PSC and then the resolution will be binding upon that county public service board. And the public service commission gave a directive: reinstate these people because they were not dismissed in the proper way that should happen. But then that has not happened. I think more than 2 years now.
So
and we are saying they have to be taken back.
They have not been reinstated.
They have not been reinstated. So the other issue is about the interns. And there is a lot of confusion on who an intern is. I never thought probably an intern was something that is as confusing as I am saying. But probably I can explain to them today.
Yes.
Number one, an intern is not a student. For you to go for internship, let me give just an example of myself. I went to Egerton. I finished.
How many years?
Graduated. After graduation, I got my certificate and I went to my internship center. I actually had a certificate. I had qualified. It's not that I was not qualified.
You had
the
a
only
degree.
reason, yes, the only reason we do internship is because human beings are not like machines. If it's for this machine, I can probably, after you qualify, you can test with it. Probably you can make some mistakes. The worst that will happen, you're going to spoil the machine. But for a human being, there are no second chances. So we want you to work under an experienced clinician for a whole year, so that by the time we are releasing you to go and see patients independently, then we are confident that you are not going to kill or harm that patient. That is the essence. And that is why you only get your license after you graduate and do a 1-year internship. So they are not
this
students.
Applies to doctors
Yes.
who do the doctor's degree, and it also applies to clinicians who do the clinical officer's degree.
And diploma.
And diploma as well.
Yes.
It also applies to nurses
who do degree.
Who do nursing degree.
Yes.
All of you must do 1 year postgraduate internship.
Very true.
Before you then get a license to operate
Very
as a
true.
clinical officer.
Yes.
So what's the issue?
Now the issue is the Public Service Commission gave an establishment with a structure. And it actually said that for clinical officers diploma, they are going to be paid at job group H. For degree, a job group K. And so on and so forth for the nurses and the doctors. But then, the other day we see some figures that we don't know where they came from the SRC, saying that this is what should be paid to these people. And then we wonder, because the body that is mandated to give out that structure is the PSC. And the Salaries and Remuneration Commission can only advise in line with an established structure. So you wondered, where did they get the figures from? How did they determine that a clinical officer diploma should get 35 instead of 75 that the Public Service Commission provided for? Or a degree should get 50 instead of 115? So what we would have expected of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission is for them to go down to the facilities to carry out a job evaluation, come and tell us according to the job that these people do, because they are the workers. They are the ones that offer around 40% of the services because of the shortage that we have. And you could say the governor is asking for them when they were not posted because there was that gap. If they did an evaluation and then told us, let's have a conversation, we have done an evaluation and this is what they do, this is what we think the compensation should be, that would have made sense. But now you cannot just give abstract figures out of nowhere.
I'm curious as to then what was the response when you have, I mean, all of these issues have been on the table. Like you said, they're not new issues. There's a contempt of court issue as well. So obviously it is something that was agreed upon and there was no compliance.
True.
So when you said, well, can we now get some of these things in order? And we're giving you 7 days or however many days. What was the response? Or was there silence? Or how did this work out?
The ministry responded after we went on strike.
Okay.
But they have done very well. There has been a lot of goodwill. The Council of Governors didn't. In fact, up to today, we don't have any response. But of course, we demonstrated to that place the other day and yesterday, and you'll note my voice is a bit hoarse because of that.
You were shouting.
Yes. And what we expect of them is to comply to the court order.
Okay.
And we had a moment to engage with the chair of the HR committee in the Council of Governors, His Excellency Mutahi Kaiga, who said that they're actually working on that to bring a team to the table. But that is what the court had asked. In fact, if that was done when we had given our petition 14 days, that is more than a month ago, we wouldn't be on strike. Because, as I said again, it is not, we do not derive any pressure from going on strikes. We cannot spend so many years in medical school, spending sleepless nights trying to understand the human body for us to sit down and watch people suffer. But you know, sometimes there is also the principle of do no harm in ethics. And sometimes we do more harm by being in those facilities than when we come out and ask for things that would actually later help a Kenyan. And let me just explain about that, because sometimes Kenyans think that we are political and we just look after ourselves. I like giving an example of a sore throat. A sore throat to any Kenyan is just another mild illness.
Kahoma kidogo.
Kahoma kidogo. But a sore throat, some years to come, can lead to a mortality when nobody will suspect it was. When you get a pharyngitis, that is a sore throat or the tonsillitis, it can lead to another disease we call rheumatic heart disease. It may not be as severe when you are young. It may actually resolve, but it may also injure your valve in the heart. If then that's a lady, if it's a girl, when they become pregnant, they can actually get that cardiac disease in pregnancy. And some succumb to it. But nobody will know that the mortality at that point is because of 20 years ago that there was no clinical officer in that facility. They went there, they waited for 8 hours, they got tired, they went home, went through, probably passed by a chemist, got some painkillers, thought that it had resolved, and never came back. And these are the things we are saying. When we ask, because one of the demands is, can you please comply with your own plan, employ the 20,000 health workers, and we plan how to employ on an annual basis. When we're asking for that, we have that at the back of our minds. We have the issue of the waiting times for the patients, the complications that come with it, the consequences to the general public. And so we must be the advocates of that patient, because they don't have the information that we are privileged to have. They will not know what we know, and probably it may be hard for us to understand, for us to make them understand. And that is why we fight on their behalf. That is why sometimes we say, please let us give it a pause. Let us go and try and fight and see if we can make it better, so that then we can look after you in a better manner.
Let's take a break. We'll continue this conversation shortly. Peter Solwashira is the National Chairman of the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers. He's here because the clinical officers have been on strike. Today is the 10th day?
10th day.
The 10th day of a strike. These are clinical officers. These are the ones you find at level what and what and what?
You find us at every level, but majorly you'll find us in the 3, 4, 5. We run the outpatients, the inpatients, the specialized clinics, the theaters. We are the anesthetists, the cataract surgeons. We are the ones who give back sight to those people with cataract issues. We have many aspects. We have critical care. If you go to KNH today and the other referral hospitals, we are the ones actually who are taking care of the critical patients now, because the doctors are not there.
We'll be back shortly. Continue this conversation.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Back into partly cloudy conditions in Nairobi this morning at 20. We'll see highs of 27 and lows of 16. It's sunny at 19 in Nakuru, highs of 26 and lows of 15. And 15 will also be the low in a sunny Nyeri at 20, going to highs of 27. It's 18 and sunny in Eldoret, highs of 25 and lows of 14. And looking into a sunny Mombasa at 30, we'll see highs of 34 and lows of 26. Malindi is sunny at 31. We'll see highs of 33 and lows of 27. Kisumu sunny at 25 with highs of 29 and lows of 20. While at 24, Kakamega is sunny. We'll see highs of 29 and lows of 16. It's 23 and mostly sunny in Kampala with highs of 28 and lows of 19, while in Dar es Salaam it's sunny at 28 with highs of 32 and lows of 26. It's a sunny morning in Johannesburg with highs of 21. We'll see lows of 8. Mogadishu is sunny at 32 with highs of 33 and lows of 27, while at 18 after the morning rain, Addis Ababa is mostly cloudy at 18 with highs of 23 and lows of 11. It's partly sunny at 29 in Lagos with highs of 35, while at 24 Kinshasa is sunny going to highs of 33. We're looking at a cloudy afternoon at 10 degrees in Beijing, and at 7 it's cloudy in Paris with highs of 16. We'll see lows of 7 in a mostly cloudy London, and Tuesday night is partly cloudy in New York. Coming into Wednesday, we'll see highs of 17 and lows of 10.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
One of the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers is our guest this morning. We are talking about their strike 10 days down the road. You're saying, yes, you do this for the benefit of our healthcare system.
True.
What comes out to the public is money, 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 and money. Okay, so let's go into this.
Yes.
The president has said, look, guys, let's live within our means. There's no money. We can afford this much. Can you go back to work with that much, and then we shall tutafute pesa pamoja. Kipatikana tutapata sisi wote pamoja.
You see, if probably we were negotiating for more, we would be having a conversation. But for the interns, it is not that we're asking for more than they were being paid. Those who are already continuing were being paid the full salary.
How much?
What is happening is a reduction. The degree were being paid 150, now they'll be paid 50. For the diploma, they're the ones that they had not complied. They were giving them 15,000. And now they have taken it to 35. And that is why you saw the diploma a bit excited, because they feel it's an increment. But then it's not as per the PSC. And that is why we are saying that, can you pay them as per the PSC guidelines?
So what, apart from ESA, okay, let me ask this question in a different way.
Yes.
What reason did the SRC give for reviewing this downwards? Is it that they were not aware of whatever was in existence with the scheme of service, with what had already been, what was already happening, that clinical officers on internship were getting paid 115,000. By the time they were coming with their advisory, let's pay clinical officers on internship 50,000 shillings. Was it for lack of knowledge of what was happening, or did they come with a reason and an explanation? Was it a harmonization of interns in public service?
Yeah, I think there is a misunderstanding, because number one, the interns in the health sector are not like the interns in the public service. And even if you look at the internship policy and for the Public Service Commission, there is a clause that provides that for the health sector, the Ministry of Health shall draft their own internship policy. So they actually acknowledge that there is a difference. But the second thing is that they are talking about increase in numbers of interns, which is actually lying to Kenyans.
Who's saying that? The SRC?
Yes, because...
So is that the reason? What I want you to understand
it's one of the reasons that I have heard, but from the document I didn't actually see the reasons. They were trying to say harmonizing across the sectors.
Okay. So the main thrust for the Salaries and Remuneration Commission was harmonization of the stipend for interns.
Yes.
In the public sector.
But what I heard from the chair, because she was somewhere yesterday, she was not talking about that. She was talking about the amount of money that is available and the fact that the number of interns has increased, which I'm saying it's misleading Kenyans. Because according to the establishment by the Public Service Commission, we have an establishment for 9,000 plus interns. we are only having around 4,500, half of that. So how can you then say that they are more than we expected when the mandated body, the mandated institution had given an establishment and we should budget as per those establishment? So what is happening is that somebody just wants to decrease the pay for our interns. They are looking for reasons elsewhere, which we are trying to say that it is very indignifiing.
And are we saying that it cannot be pegged to the current issues which are being experienced? Because look, I dare say that indeed the government is broke.
I disagree.
That in order to have money moving around in the way it ought to, certain things have to have been done. Those things were not done. Whether you're talking about financial responsibility, financial prudence, etc. Because I hear you saying you disagree, obviously because of the kind of spending we are seeing in other sectors that doesn't make sense. Then you cannot then justify an inability or non-capacity to pay essential sectors in this country. So I can hear why you say you disagree.
Yeah.
But because of that action, that's why there is no fluidity of money. Because of that action, whether it is historic or present, that's why there is no fluidity with this money that we see should be going to these vital areas.
But allow me ask, we are collecting more taxes than we were collecting during Uhuru's time. Is that correct?
Yes, so we hear.
So we are told.
Yes.
Yes. No, it is. We are being taxed more. Of course, they are collecting more because they are taxing us more. The other thing is that we are seeing budgets being increased, almost being doubled, like the office of the president, the State House, and many others. We are seeing the police having a presidential level task force and then their salary being increased by 40%. We are seeing the teachers having a presidential level task force and we are also seeing them completing CBAs and their salaries being increased. Why is it that when it comes to the health workers, then the issue of wage bill comes in? And that's why at some point, we feel like we are the bastard son in this government. Because the other sectors, they have CBAs. We wrote to the president because, by the way, as unions in the health sector, we have also sat back and asked ourselves, what is happening? Is there a way we can also contribute to the stability and providing long-lasting solutions for posterity? As I said, we don't like interrupting services. And we held a convention in 2022, a high-level convention. It was the resolution was actually read out by CS Chelugui when he was the CS for Labour. One of the things we agreed, and we discussed with the president in the Catholic University when he invited us during his campaigns, was we needed a presidential level task force that would sit and look at how do we manage our human resources so that we can ensure that it's effective and efficient and so that we don't have these perennial strikes. And we agreed that a presidential level task force would bring all the views together and would give us a pathway towards whether is it a legal framework, is it an institution like the Health Service Commission, what do we need? But then that did not happen. And when it didn't happen, we wrote as the Health Union caucus to the president and reminded him that we had actually agreed to do this. But then it didn't happen. We got a letter directing us to follow it up with the CS Health. But that has never happened. And that probably is one of the issues because we always push the government. It's not actually ourselves. The government always pushes the issues of health workers aside. And that is why they never get resolved. We are talking about issues from 2019. We have had return to work agreements. We have had strikes. And that is why we are saying this time round, we are doing it for posterity. And that's why we are saying we are not going back until these things are put on the table and we can actually resolve them.
Is there any CBA with any public entity that has been honored 100%?
Yes.
Which?
Ours with the Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital. It has been honored. That is the only successful one we have.
Okay.
We are in the process of now doing with KNH, and of course now the ones we are to conclude with the ministry and the Council of Governors. But why would somebody even sign a CBA they don't intend to honor?
So your CBAs with several counties and national government have not been fully implemented.
We have not actually even concluded the negotiations since 2019.
The doctors have a CBA, and among the issues that they're raising now is the non-compliance with the CBA.
Yeah.
Teachers have been raising issues since time immemorial, since Moi days, Ambrose Adongo days, of CBAs not being fully implemented, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So CBAs appear to be a point where you go in, you negotiate, you pull, you push, you sit down, you sign something, and it says this also comes with a return to work formula and a normalization of industrial relations.
Yeah.
You go back to work, and the CBAs are not implemented, and so this forms now the excuse or the reason for the next strike. What should be the long-lasting solution to this?
Very good. And your analysis is very correct. Who is at fault? Of course, the employer. Because we negotiate openly. And we agree. And we sign. Because even we have had so many return-to-work agreements. There are things that we agree. But then, what our employers usually, and that is why we had an issue with health being led by political entities. For them, the only interest is to see you at work, not to resolve and that is why they will go to court. They'll get a court order. Once you're back to work, they don't comply with anything else because they achieved what they needed.
Which was to get you back to work.
Yes.
Okay.
So for us, the long term, and especially in the health sector, as we have said, we have proposed a health service commission. And we actually give them a framework for a health service commission that sits in well with devolution. We said, can we have this type of commission which recruits from a requisition of a specific county? Murang'a County says, I need 10 dermatologists, I need 10 anesthetists, then sends to the health service commission. It recruits and sends them there, and then they can delegate the management of those workers within that county. They can be deployed to any station. They can be transferred, but not outside. If they needed to move from a county to the other, they go back to the commission, they can go to the next county. But the management of the health workers will be within
the county.
That county. The governor said, we don't think it's a good idea. But then we're asking them, what is a good idea? Because we all agree there is a problem. There is a problem with the management of the human resource. And that is why we said, if we can have a high level, a presidential level task force, then we all bring these challenges and our proposed solutions to the experts. They can look at the issues and they can give recommendations, because what we need is not a commission. What we need is not whatever else the people are saying. What we need is effective management of human resources, one that ensures that there is parity of treatment across board.
Okay.
Yes.
So you've sat with William Ruto, the candidate and deputy president.
Yes.
And even signed a charter, right? And
we didn't sign, but we presented him with a
but you had a
memorandum.
long conversation.
Yes.
Presented a memorandum and had an agreement of some sort.
He actually said we should keep photos and use them to remind him.
Bas. He gets into office and becomes president.
Yes.
And among his primary agenda is universal health coverage.
Yes.
He immediately embarks on rolling out universal health coverage. Let's have legislative framework in place. Let's look at the institutions that are managing health. Let's have all this conversation. The medics remind him of what you had agreed of a national task force to look at this matter. He delegates it to the Ministry of Health. It takes a while to happen. Meanwhile, bills are drafted, bills go to Parliament, bills are enacted, the President launches universal health coverage, and it's a systems go on matters. And even budgetary allocations are starting now to take shape in UHC format. But the matter of health human resource for health is not being addressed.
Yes.
Why do you think this is so? Because like I've said, it's not that the president is not aware
of the issues.
of the issue.
True.
So why do you think President William Ruto is not pushing for the proper addressing of the human resource for health?
I think I cannot speak for him, but let me say that I also don't understand. Because number one, if you look at the components of an effective health system, which you need to implement universal health coverage, the human resource is the central pillar that holds all the others, be it the governance, the financing, the essential drugs, the information technology. The human resource is the central pillar. So whatever you do, if you don't get it right with the human resource, motivation, adequate staffing, and of the right skill mix, not only one cadre, don't only talk about promoters, talk about a skill mix. And you know, because it's good that we tell each other the truth. As things are now, we will not be able to implement the universal health coverage. From the analysis of the ministry itself, there is no hospital that, no level 4, level 5 that is even working at 50% of its capacity right now. Why? We don't have staff. For clinic officers, right now, for the basic implementation of universal health coverage, that is to ensure access everywhere in this country, to ensure there is that quality. Quality means that I can actually make the right diagnosis, and that comes with the equipment, the lab, and whatever else. And of course, to ensure that the affordability, we need 24,000 clinic officers employed in the public health facilities in this country. How many do we have now? 7,000. We have a shortage of 17,000. Are they available if the government wants to employ? Yes, we are 32,000 clinic officers in this country. They're actually available. And so that's why I'm saying we like pushing the issues of health workers aside. And sometimes we also don't understand. And that is why we also want to have this conversation with the leadership to understand what is happening and why we cannot just get it right. But I think the bottom line is that this country has never understood that you will never attain economic success unless you get it right with health. Because the money we lose as we seek for health care services elsewhere, we treat complications, is money that should have been put into investments. The millions and billions we are taking to India, how many factories can that make? How will it be able to expand the tax base? How many people will be employed in the investment that this money would actually be used in?
I disagree that this country does not understand that. I disagree. And I look back at William Ruto's key pillar, one of the 5 key pillars, is UHC, health. Uhuru Kenyatta's big 4, UHC, health. Among the programs that they embarked on as Jubilee administration in term 1 was matters of health. Looking at Linda Mama and looking at even the First Lady's initiative was on health. So the issue of those in leadership understanding the importance of health and the burden of health and the importance of a healthy nation for economic prosperity, we cannot say that they don't understand. They do. They have demonstrated that they can see what the issue is. And that's why I come back to the question. What do you think is the reason why we are not addressing the issue of human resource for health when we are addressing everything else? We can bring in contractors to supply equipment to hospitals across the country, but we will not address the issue of the human resource that's needed to operate the equipment. We can talk about revamping KEMSA so that drugs can flow to the hospitals, but we are not talking about the people who will be needed to diagnose and to dispense the medicine. Why do you think this is? You talk to these people on a daily basis.
Politics.
What's the political angle here?
And the political angle is this. And one governor once told me, you know, if I employ 20 clinic officers, none of my constituents will know. They will not clap for me. They will not get a vote. But if I go and maram that road, everybody will come there and clap and I'll get a vote. And that is the problem. And they understand the need. That is why it is in all of their manifestos, because you want to appeal to that voter. But then when they come in, because our politics is quite superficial, I must say, and our people do not analyze things. So then for them, they want to do what can be seen out there. I've brought in a machine and now you can do this. And of course, there is the issue of the kickbacks and the tendering and whatever else. There's no kickbacks when you're employing people. So it's actually the politics surrounding it. And I think at some point, we should separate the healthcare from politics. We should ensure the management of healthcare services is done like in the military. No, in the military, there is no politics to it. The CS does not actually determine much. We should have the same structure in the healthcare so that it can actually run even when you don't have a political appointee and there will be a budget. Why is it that we budget for employment of soldiers every year, those in the army, the police officers every year, but we cannot budget for employment of health workers every year? We all understand that these are an essential service, as Ndu says. We understand the suffering of Kenyans. We understand also what it can do. You know, we say every Kenyan is just one disease away from poverty.
Yep.
Right now, if we can have proper screening of cervical cancer, if we can have proper vaccination of our girls who are in the ages where we can actually prevent that infection by the HPV. Do you know, in 20, 30 years, the burden probably will come down more than 50% or probably 75%. How much money are we using to treat just the CA cervix alone?
Yep.
But in our politics, we look at short-term solutions. We are looking at, I'm only here for 5 years, I'm only here for 10 years. You only want to do something that people are going to say that you have done that is only going to benefit us within the period you are in office. We don't do things for posterity. And that is the problem, I think, with the health sector. They see health workers as a liability. But we have actually been trying to convince them you should look at health workers as development. And I talk this in the context of the PFM Act. When you're talking about recurrent not going beyond 35, because that is what many counties will tell you, that we have exceeded the ceiling. We cannot go beyond. But we are saying, can we transfer health workers to be a development aspect? Because we are actually part of the development. We help the nation save money so that it can invest. And then we can be able to employ every year. I don't see the reason as to why we cannot be able to employ every year so that then Kenyans can be able to access that health care. We don't have to spend so much money in the privates and going outside country to get those services.
What's the barest minimum in terms of what needs to happen to get clinical officers back? I'm not even talking about whether it is now a strike in solidarity, whether it's a strike on its own, and now everybody has essentially joined hands. What's it going to take to get clinical officers back?
I think number one, all our demands are very important, and they affect our members. But I think what we have said and agreed with the ministry, there are things that we can agree to do and the others we can continue talking while we are at work. The enhancement of the risk allowance, the conclusion of the CBA. And the reason as to why this is bare minimum is because we don't have another option. In fact, now we are the ones who are trying to help the court. Because even the court has not been able to bring them to the table. It's only a strike that can be able to do that. The universal health coverage staff, even if we are going to be on strike for 10 months, they must put the universal health care staff on permanent and pensionable. We must create a tradition in this country of appreciating people who sacrifice on behalf of the country. The interns must be paid at their rightful job group. We want Kirinyaga health workers back. We want an end to contractual employments in the counties. And we also want clinic officers employed, and all the health workers, actually, not only clinic officers, all the health workers in their right mix, because we don't work alone. And we have a framework to employ them every year. If we can agree on these things and create a structure, then we'll do a return to work agreement, and the other things we can discuss as we proceed. Yes.
People are sick today.
True.
If you look at the story that I was looking at here in the Standard today, it's actually telling the stories of people who are in hospital, those who've had to leave public hospitals, go and seek services elsewhere in some private facilities. They cannot afford that. Some have gone back home. They're sitting back. Somebody is looking at their sick loved one at home, knowing they have no way of helping them. What do you tell those people?
I think what I will tell them, I will start by saying we are sorry as health workers. And number two, I will tell them that your government, the leaders who you delegated your power to them and gave them your vote so that they can ensure you get your rights, they have failed you. They are the reason for this strike. We wouldn't be on strike if it was not for the contempt by the governors. And so they are the reason for the strike. So I want to ask them, as responsible Kenyans, please ask the people you sent to office to carry out their mandate, to be responsible citizens, and to obey the court orders. If they had come on the table, those people would not be suffering. But please allow me to also address His Excellency the President. I know he must be, sometimes I'm sure he might listen to this. Your Excellency the President, we met, we discussed. I am actually the one who handed over the memorandum. We had an agreement and a very cordial conversation on how we were going to make health work in this country. We still believe that in the things we agreed, we can be able to bring stability, we can be able to deliver universal health coverage, but we must make deliberate and bold decisions and investments in the healthcare to ensure that this happens. As health workers, we are ready. We are not interested in strikes. Please put together the presidential level task force that we discussed so that it can look at the long-term solutions. But in the short term, please intervene to ensure that this crisis comes to an end, and that we also don't lose, that no side loses, that the unions get what they need and the government get what they need, so that the patients cannot suffer and can continue getting the benefits they ought to get.
Message to President William Ruto from Peterson Washira, National Chairman of the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers. Thank you, Peterson, for joining us.
Thank you.
And thank you for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation. Have a lovely day. 10 a.m. Time for the news.
Good morning. This is the Newswire. I am Erin Lisamira. Former Mombasa Governor